What's happening, y'all? Riot Started TV is in the building. I appreciate you rocking with us on this glorious evening. My name is Kalonji Jama Changa. If you are unfamiliar with me, I am here representing Black Power Media, the Black Power Media platform. If it's your first time tuning in, please hit that subscribe button. You know what I mean? And share and say, listen, man, these folks are bringing something hardcore. So I definitely, we welcome you to Black Power Media. And for those of you who are repeats, to all my remixers who rep the morning show and the chat and all that, shout out to y'all. I wanted to, as of late, I've been thinking, I'm like, we're not, I'm looking online, and oftentimes we're not seeing a lot of folks who need to be seen. You know what I mean? We see a lot of YouTube characters and celebs and all that type stuff. So I kind of wanted to dig deep and reach for some heavy hitters. Over the past couple weeks, if you are, like I said, new to this, if you don't follow the channel, we've had everyone on here from Juliana Lumumba, who is the daughter of Patrice Lumumba, to Cynthia McKinney, former U.S. Congresswoman, Dhoruba Ben-Wahad. We had on Sunday, we actually had Mumia Abu-Jamal calling. So if you missed that, please check in on the channel. Yesterday, we had Dr. T. Owens Moore, who is one of the foremost authorities on melanin. And I said, man, I can't go back now. You know what I'm saying? We gotta keep moving hard. I can't just go back to the chatterbox. So I called up one of the comrades, one of our greatest minds. I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that. You know what I'm saying? A real sharp brother who's been putting in work, and a walk-in bibliophile. You know what I'm saying? He is associate professor of Africana Studies and chair of the Department of Afro-American Studies at Howard University, and adjunct faculty at the Howard School of Law. He holds a PhD in African American Studies from Temple University and a JD from the Ohio State University College of Law. My man's bio is wild like the Taliban. You know what I mean? You may have seen him in Ebony Magazine. You may have seen him on Tavis Smiley's show, CNN, and so many other places. But his most important place that you ever seen him and you ever will see him is right here on Riot Started TV. You don't get it twisted. You know what I'm saying? So without further ado, I want to bring in my man, Dr. Greg Carr. What's happening, brother?
I'm glad. Look, man, this is, like you said, command place to be, man. I'm so happy to be a Riot Started brother, Kalonji. Hey, man, I must say at the onset, not only I'm deeply grateful for you having me and adding me to in the conversation. Also, man, I can never get enough of this, of renegade culture. Man, y'all cats. I mean, no shade to the rest of the crew. I don't miss BPM shows, man. The remix morning show, right all that. But brother, I'm so grateful and to be your brother and comrade, especially tonight.
Man, listen.
Beautiful thing. Thank you, brother.
Brother, and see, now I'm embarrassed because I didn't know you watch Renegade Coaches. We be acting stone cold fool.
I love it, bro.
Okay.
Are you kidding?
Okay.
Oh, man.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, seriously.
So cute. So cool. So you immune to the motherfuckers and all that we're gonna talk.
Oh yeah.
Okay, good.
In fact, for my students at hip hop class I teach, man, at Howard, I have assigned them to watch some of the conversations y'all be having, man. Because in addition to everything else, I mean, from the inside, ain't nobody laying that track down in terms of how hip hop is so connected and the way you move through the world. And what's the old saying? All of which I saw, some of which I was. Y'all are in the middle of that, man. So I mean, I respect, brother.
Brother, let me tell you something, man. And if you've seen anything, I'm usually hard on the intellectuals. I'm like, man, I don't really rock with intellectuals like that.
Yeah.
But with you, you know what I'm saying? There are exceptions to the rule. You know what I mean? From the French Fanon school of thought. You know what I mean? And the Carter G. Woodson school of thought. You know what I'm saying? These are the folks that I reach out to. So definitely salute and give thanks for you coming on board on short notice.
Oh no, that was easy, man. I had an 8 o'clock class this morning, Tuesdays. Well, every day for us is a long day. So I don't even in our ancestors, as hard as they work, My daddy used to sometimes look at my hands and say, "Let me see your hands, boy. You ain't working." So I'm not.
We might have the same daddy.
You already know, man. You know we ain't done no work, man.
With pretty hands. What's wrong with you,
pretty
man?
hands. No question. Like, what's wrong with you, boy? No,
walking around trying to be cute.
No question. So no, I pretend to be an academic. Oh, and I must say, I thankfully after 13 years in that chair at Howard, I was promoted back to the faculty. I'm out of the administrative work, thank goodness.
Okay.
And it couldn't happen a moment too soon. I think part of it was I think they thought they were punishing me, whatever they thought I was or wasn't doing. And I'm very clear, man. No faculty member, no adult should ever hide behind children. That's right. So the Howard University students who are still involved in the Blackburn takeover, and thank you, by the way, for BPM for covering that, for being continuing and faithful in that work. I think the bandwagon is getting strong enough now that some Negroes who were cowering, trying to figure out which way the wind was blowing, should be jumping on soon. So we'll probably see some voices. But I think they thought I had something to do with their 2018 student takeover, which I didn't. And I think they thought that maybe if they could push me out of that chair, it would be some type of punishment. But as usual, you know, the petty bourgeois don't quite understand the way movements work. So I was freed up from that chair, brother. So now I got a little bit more room to be. So anyway, brother, I mean, but I just wanted to make that observation, make that connection.
Hey man, since you poked the beehive and you at Howard right now, can we get a little update about what's going on before we get it?
Oh, of course, to the degree that can. The young people, I guess this is what today's the 9th, so we're like on the cusp of day 28. They really were driven to, in many ways, occupy some space in the Blackburn University Student Center on the 12th of October. Right. It happened, and as Erica England has discussed, Channing Hill and their lawyer, our brother Donald Temple, has discussed in BPM and the April Silver takeover last Friday.
Yeah. Shout out to her and Dr. Jared Ball. They did a powerful job. Yes.
They absolutely did. Two very, very good comrades, longtime friends. And in April's case, I know y'all go back like car seats, man. That's a New York story. So I already
listen. It's funny because of the fact I don't even know if she remember me, because I was into hip hop at the time when she was doing the hip hop pieces at Howard. I actually brought Smith and Wesson and Helter Skelter them through back in I think 94 or something like that. You know, I was doing booking and promotions and management and all that type of stuff. So definitely, shout out to the work they were doing. In fact, that's where I saw the movie. They did a premiere of Friday there, and Chris Tucker was there.
It's legendary. Yes. You were there for that
at Blackburn. Right.
That's crazy. Well, we gotta get some of these young people so that I know you don't have. If you could put 48 hours in a day instead of 24, you would. But at this point now, we just need you to sign and talk, man. Let these young people transcribe, and you could just edit, because this story got to be preserved and passed on generation to generation, man. Because a lot of these cats out here making a living as quote unquote hip hop scholars, we'll say the hate awards maybe for December or something. But I mean, this is the thing. So in that same building, that you all were in for those early meetings of Hip Hop Nation, the young people now have occupied that building. Not fully, because the building really is in a state of disrepair in many ways. That's one of the issues, in fact.
Right.
But they have been there now for close to a month. And their demands, which began with they demanded that the president of the university meet with them in person, not just them, but the student body generally. They demanded that the affiliate trustees be restored to the Howard University Board of Trustees. And affiliate trustees are from groups that are what some people call stakeholders, but members of the university community: student trustees, faculty trustees, alumni trustees. The university board got rid of those trustee positions this summer. And it's kind of a surreptitious act, although they claim transparency, but that's being fought. And then they wanted a tangible plan with deliverables to remedy the housing crisis. And it isn't just about molds and roaches and rats. We know the white-facing public media, entertainment media, has seized on that. but it's also the lack of affordable housing. And of course, that's attracted attention. Jamal Bowman from New York, Yana Presley, of course, whose parents met actually in housing work, who was, of course, representative in legislature from Boston. And Elizabeth Warren tweeted in support all around the idea of affordable housing. And then they had to add a fourth demand because the university almost immediately threatened them with punitive action up to and including expulsion. And their fourth demand was amnesty. They should not receive any punishment for doing something they felt like they had to do. And that movement has continued to grow and increase. A lot of support, not only students, but alumni, faculty, the contingent faculty, the most vulnerable members of a faculty at any university, those folk who literally work class to class, piecing class schedules together for subpar wages. Some of them as little as $3,000 a class, and you teaching 4 classes, and that's, if you do that 2 semesters, that's just $24,000 a year before taxes. And so, I mean, contingent faculty, they've now joined. So what happened was, now, and I'll end with this: the students occupied Blackburn. Right now, they're probably, from what I'm told, about 100 students inside, somewhere around the 100 mark, a little bit north of that. And then outside, there's been a proliferation of tents. So dozens of tents at this point, with not just students. There are several alum who are on the ground there. There are as well faculty. There's a faculty tent now, contingent faculty. I was there Friday for a rally. We're anticipating. And so the students are, their lawyer, Donald Temple, who appeared, as I said, on the show on Friday.
Right on, definitely.
Yeah, Donald Temple said that, they're at the point now they're trying to finish up negotiations for those students to be able to leave the building without punishment. But the issues they've raised will not go away. I should say one more thing, Kalonji. I didn't forget about it, but it just came to mind. Okay. The students in the quad, these are women students. Right. Although it probably won't be exclusively women students. The 4th floor of is it Crandall Hall? Yeah, the Baldwin students, Baldwin Hall. The Baldwin baddies, as they call themselves, HBCUs always got this. These sisters have filed a class action lawsuit this week against Corvius, the private company that manages some of Howard's dorms, and Howard University. And it's a class action, which means students who are in similar situations in terms of being harmed by Corvius and their neglect of housing can join. So the takeover, when we look back, occupying the building may be just the start of this. So that's where we are as of tonight, brother.
Man, listen, first of all, definitely thanks for that update, and salute to the Howard students for being brave.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Because honestly, there's some other things going on at a couple other HBCUs that we have comrades and family members, children at right now that they're trying to get together. So I can't just speak on it just yet, but we will be breaking it as soon as we can.
Okay. And Ryan started TV.
Hey, man, you know how we do around here, man. If you're gonna be a monkey, be a gorilla. You know what I'm saying?
No question, gorilla style, baby. Right on, as the young people say less, brother.
Hey, man, listen. A lot of folks don't know that Howard has a history of rebellions. You know what I'm saying? And one of the more popular ones was Gil Scott. You know what I'm saying? So, Gil Scott had his situation there. You had in 1989, the rebellion over there with April and others. When you think Black University, back in the day, we were, those of us from the inner cities, again, I'm from Bridgeport, Connecticut, so we didn't have any HBCUs and whatnot. Our closest thing would be Yale, damn well.
That's all right. They had Skip Gates in there trying to hide while the Panthers was up there in New Haven, man. Hey. So he come out now that he's legit, and he go get our friend Abdul, what's my brother's name, Abdul Rahman Shabazz, and he investigating the death of Malcolm X 50 years after it's safe. But Yale was terrified by you Negroes in the surrounding community, brother. Always have been.
Hey man, we did some things, and I'm not gonna speak on it right here, right now.
Statute of limitations, brother. Let's wait and see.
I'm waiting 50 years till it's safe, like Skip.
Exactly.
But definitely, again, thank you for that update. I wanted to for the viewers, I was introduced, I would say officially, by Paul Lee. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Who folks, if you're not familiar, when you talk about Malcolm and historians, there's a whole lot of folks out here. But Paul Lee is someone who dedicated his life. And, you know, I was introduced to Paul Lee by my brother, my comrade, Cimarron, who's out in the Durham area. So shout out to Cimarron for his work. You know what I'm saying? So it took us a while. I know you agreed to come on a while back, and we had some complications and difficulties, but
yeah, no thing. We just keep moving, and we knew we would get there, man. You gonna have Paul on?
Man, I got to reach back out to him. I know he was sick the last time we had reached out to him, but that,
on the West Coast now. Right?
Say it again.
He's on the West Coast now.
Okay.
I think he picked up some classes. I want to say he's in the UC system, maybe Berkeley. Okay. I haven't seen Paul, man. Last time I saw Paul is just like every time I see Paul, he was in Detroit. In fact, it was at the Wright Museum, Charles Wright Museum. I was there for African Liberation Day. And you're right, man. Paul Lee, brother, like you said, I mean, it's cats that know what they say in the nation, those that say don't know and those that know don't say. Man, Paul Lee, man, that brother. In fact, the first time I met Paul Lee, it's funny, man. This was this would have been like in the early 90s, around 94, 93, 94. We had a meeting of the Association for the Study of Classical African Civilizations in Detroit at Joe Louis. No, at Cobo Hall. And I went to the bookstore, as you know, man, as a member of the bookseller guild, man. Much respect for that too, man.
Yes.
The oldest continuous bookstore in Detroit at that time was Vaughn's bookstore. Ed Vaughn, who's still alive. He was a Michigan State rep, a bookseller. And I went to Vaughn's bookstore. I snuck away from the conference afternoon, and I was in there, and I came out with all these books, and a brother had pulled up in front of it, and he said, "What you doing all those books?" I said, "Oh man, I'm just, he gets somebody say, I don't know you, brother." I said, "Oh, how you doing?" We'll introduce himself. He said, "Hold on, you buy them kind of books?" He said, "Let me show you something." So he goes in the trunk of his car and pulls out a postcard. He said, "Who is that?" Now it's the famous picture with Muhammad Ali on one side, Malcolm on the other side, and in the middle this little dude. I said, "Oh, that's Mr. Michaud, man. Come on, man. Where's Louis Michaud?" At the bookstore. He said, "Oh, we're gonna hit it up." That was Paul. You know how Paul tests you. If you ain't got Paul, and this I'll end with this right quick. I went back, we talked for a long time, man. He said, "What's going on?" I said, "Well, the ASCAT conference is in town." He said, "Oh, yeah. He said, "You going back over there?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I'm coming over this afternoon. I'll find you."
Wow.
A couple of hours later, he walks in. Who does he have with him? Wilfred Little, Malcolm's brother.
Wow.
He had Malcolm's brother with him, man. He said, I want y'all to meet Malcolm. We sat there and talked. That's who Paul Lee is. So all these people writing books,
that's right.
And all these people, Paul Lee is the cat that reads everything and then says, "You missed this, this some bullshit. You got this right. Good job. This here's some bull." If it passed Paul's test, that's
then
legit.
You good. Then you good.
No question.
Hey, listen. Well, we reached out to him to bring him on to talk about Malcolm.
Oh yeah.
And like I said, during that time, he wasn't feeling he was feeling under weather, whatever. And he said, get Greg Carr.
Oh,
so if they, and I'm dead serious. You know, if
he was being kind,
if you speak like that of him, he speak like that of you.
Yeah,
and we're on the right side of history.
Yeah, we're on the right side of history, man. Now, if he said that about me, he was being kind. But I'll definitely, can't nobody pinch it. I tell you one thing, while we were talking that day, he comes out his pocket with a chewed up, like a business card.
Right.
In a baggie. I said, "What's this, Paul?" He said, "That's the card Malcolm had in his breast pocket the day he got assassinated." I mean, that's the kind of...
You muted out. You muted, Greg.
That's the answer telling me to say less about that. Yeah, I kicked the little microphone. All I was gonna say is, man, that I'm a student, man. I try to keep on posting with these students and do the work. At the same time, cats like Paul Lee, man, these are, as you said at the beginning, man, before you brought me into the conversation, the space that y'all are building in BPM and the work that you've been doing long distance running, and then now adding this cyber dimension, bringing those kind of voices into the space. Yeah, we ain't trying to be famous. We ain't trying to get put on.
That's right.
And that's the most exactly. And them are the most dangerous Negroes there are. Paul ain't trying to be under them bright lights.
He got nothing to lose.
No question. No
It's
question.
never to change.
Yes,
So
sir.
so check it. So you know, I heard through the grapevine that you was a serious Carter Woodson. You know, they said that's your guy.
Mm.
I wanted to ask you, how do you think the ideas of the miseducation of the Negro correlates with the ideas of Malcolm and Martin? Like, is there any type of correlation, or what would you say?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, Woodson is my man, just like he's your man. Just like, I mean, we share Woodson with untold millions over the arc of generations. I think if I had to in a moment think about maybe one theme that would be consistent in all three of their those brothers and the communities they represent and our people, it might be self-determination, in the sense that Malcolm, yeah, Malcolm too. I was about to say, I was trying to think, they're all products of Black institutions, and they all fiercely protected Black institutions. So, you know, Woodson, of course, and, you know, without going into a long piece on him, but we know, of course, coming out of Virginia, and one of my favorite pieces from Carter Woodson is a piece that he wrote in the Negro History Bulletin. This was around 1943. It's called My Recollection of Veterans of the Civil War. Because, you know, Woodson was, of course, born in Virginia. His parents, James and Eliza, had been born in enslavement. Neither could read English. I don't mean they were illiterate. They just couldn't read or write English, as we know, right? So they certainly weren't illiterate. In essence.
I know.
But,
It was on point, actually.
no question. And he talks about how his mother actually jumped down in the middle of an attempt to sell his grandmother and her siblings. She said, sell me instead of breaking up my little brother from my mother. I mean, it's riveting, this story he tells. But the heart of that little article was really a fulfillment of a promise of sorts he made to some brothers who fought in the Civil War. He had two uncles that fought in the Civil War, his mother's brothers. They had learned how to read and write in the war as Union Army, and they became the school teachers that taught Woodson and his brothers and sisters. Again, Black institutions. I mean, that's a Black school. I mean, we think about it in Virginia. But when he followed his own brothers into the mines, he worked in the coal mines in what is now West Virginia, around Huntington in that area for several years, until
serious spot over there.
Serious, man. That hard scrabble, alluvian soil, they don't grow nothing, man. But to get them black rocks out the ground. Shout out to that cosplay coal miner Joe Manchin, you bastard.
Yes, sir. Yes,
anyway,
sir.
So making millions while he trying to get Joe Manchin. You got Joe Biden so shook that fool won't even sign the damn climate accord over there in Scotland, man. Joe Manchin, little dry ass, sitting up trying to be the first billionaire in West Virginia. But Kalonji Woodson mined in those mines, and he was 18 before he could come out of those mines and go to high school. He finished high school fairly quickly and then went off to Berea College, and the rest is history. But while he was in those mines, he read the newspapers to the brothers who worked in the mines alongside him, the older brothers who could not read. And a brother named Oliver Jones, who was a coal miner, had a house. His house, and in the front part of his house was a parlor, and they subscribed to all the Black newspapers. They had a library they built, and Woodson's job, this teenage cat, his job was to read the papers to these brothers, and they would tell him stories about their lives, including being veterans of the Civil War. And when they would argue about world history, they would argue about the politics of the day. This would have been, Woodson's born in 1875, so we're talking about the early 1890s. Like 1889, 90, 91. So they reading all this stuff, man. The New York Age, T. Thomas Fortune. And so then when they couldn't find an answer to something, they would deputize Woodson to go look it up. So even though Woodson was the second Black person to get a PhD from Harvard, don't mean nothing. First person of enslaved parents to do that. You know, the real training he got, research training, was with those brothers. And many years in the trenches, brothers, sitting there in Oliver Jones's crib. And so finally, when Woodson eventually, of course, founds the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History in 1915, Journal Negro History 1916, the Negro History Bulletin 1941, was it? Anyway, no, 37, I think it was. But 1943, the Negro History Bulletin was for school teachers and school children. It's still the gold standard as far as I'm concerned in the stories. he began to write the stories of those brothers in that article, My Recollection of Veterans of the Civil War. But step by step, even though he went to some white schools, Berea was integrated in Kentucky. Woodson was a product of Black institutions, as was Malcolm. Before the nation, you know, riding the rails with Red Fox and them cats, man, coming out of Small's Paradise in New York. I mean, he's shaped by those, as was, of course, most consistently in terms of brick and mortar institutions, Martin King. So, I mean, all those cats, you know, every preacher in King's family until his father's line came out of his mother's line. It's Alberta's line. His grandfather came out of slavery, Willis. His great-grandfather, his grandfather, A.D. Williams, was rolling with Henry Menil Turner. They started the Georgia Equal Rights League. Man, you know, Turner is a beast. And so, I mean, that's his granddaddy. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And the daughter married Mike King, who then had to get her hand in marriage from the old man A.D., who scared the shit out of Mike King when he first came. I mean, he don't be messing with my daughter, man. So Martin Luther King would always say that, man. And then, of course, you know, Booker T. Washington High School, they lowered the admission age at Morehouse, the great Buck Benny, Benjamin Mays, to keep them boys out of World War II. And King was like a C student coming out of high school, though. When you look at his transcript, his mother wrote Ben Mays like, please, you know, they let him in, and the rest is history. All three of those cats came out of Black institutions, though. That's the first thing that comes to mind when you talk about the connection. And they believed in the strength, the power, the future, the ability of the race. They were They were race men beyond anything else. I would say those three connect.
No question. No, that was definitely you know, a good you know, layout, because of the fact that I think that one thing about Carter G. Woodson is, you know, the average cat will tell you about Negro History Week and the miseducation of the Negro, and it stops there. You know,
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Like that's all he did.
And when they say about Negro History Week, they don't even. There's a whole story to that before even Woodson starts that in 26, I guess it is. You know, the Qs had made him an honorary Q, and he agreed to be an Omega in part because he knew that those Black Greek lit organizations had networks. So he put them to work spreading Black history, Negro History Week. But before Negro History Week, there were ritual celebrations that Woodson tapped into, because by 1926, he's in Washington, D.C., and there were Black women who were involved in annual celebrations and rituals. He was very close friends with Nanny Helen Burrow. Nanny Helen Burroughs was, man, there's a sister. She and Woodson were very close. She was also close with Martin Luther King's parents.
Okay.
And so she started a national training school for Black girls here in D.C. I mean, it's a whole lot of back, but I'm saying, but when they talk about Negro History Week, it's often that Woodson is the founder, and he was.
Right.
But anytime you see them, it's like you see us. I mean, what was it? Andrew Cooper said, when and where I enter, the race enters with me. When you see Woodson, you're looking at all those people whose names we don't remember, who were doing those practices. So Woodson had the genius, the will, I think more like Malcolm than Martin in this regard. No, actually not like either one of them. I started to say Woodson's singular devotion, never got married, never had any children. When he died, the next issue of the Negro History Bulletin, Du Bois, who wrote everybody's obituary, Du Bois loved framing people, man, in death. In fact, I'll go over and get the copy of Masses and Mainstream from 1950, where he writes Woodson's obituary. It's brilliant, but it's, you know, Woodson, I mean, he's always doing that. But then he said, I asked Rayford Logan what he did for fun. He said, I don't know what he did for fun, man. Come to find out that the sisters who lived in the Phyllis Wheatley Y, which is about half a block from his house, where he would go and eat dinner and eat lunch, they were the ones he would tell stories about when he worked in the Philippines and taught down there and saw U.S. imperialism up close. It may have been Dylan, I think, Rodriguez. One day y'all had him on, and he was talking about Woodson in the Philippines. And then it was the school children, man. These kids were like, Woodson would take us for ice cream. Woodson would give us pennies. Woodson would tell us stories. The adults didn't even know, man. What Carr? It was the children, because he was a community cat, man.
Right. And that's the beauty. That's what's missing right now. That's what's missing right now.
Yes.
It's like you know, those of us who are true to the work, at some point, it's just like when you get up in age. When you get to a certain age, you don't care about what nobody feel about you, what they think about you. Right. You know what I'm saying? If you happen to be matching, then that's cool. You know what I'm saying? But it ain't you're not out there impressed. When you're younger, you know, you gotta wear everything on your sleeve, you know, but it's beautiful when your story can be told by the quote unquote least amongst us.
No question.
You know what I'm saying? When the folks in the street can tell your story.
No question.
You know, the beautiful thing about the work we do is you can go to a certain city. I can go to DC and ask, does anyone know how I can find Dr. Greg Carr? And someone could point me in that direction.
No question.
You know what I'm saying?
And I come to Atlanta and it'll be the same thing. Hey man, where Kalonji? Everybody knows.
That's when the work is being done.
No
but
question.
If you internet only, then you can build invisible universities and mystery schools, and nobody won't know where the hell you at.
Whoa, yeah, I forgot. For a split second, I almost forgot where I was.
Hey, this is where I started TV. Don't get it twisted.
In a minute, man. You got these cats out here, but they internet gangsters. They ain't never gonna leave from behind.
Hey, look here, man. They ain't gonna bust a Concord grape in a fruit fight, brother.
No, sir. Oh, now you definitely dating yourself. You done dug back into the ladies' love Cool James, brother. When you throw a rock in a ghost town. So don't try to play what is it? Don't try to play post, clown. When he was roasting Kumo D, you know, to the break on.
Exactly. That's hip hop.
Kalonji, I gotta ask you, man, when did the switch flip for you from I kind of want to keep a left eye on what people think. I'm trying to organize to I don't give a fuck. Was there age, man? Was there a date, man?
I think that when I came to the realization that at some point we all have to go. Wow. We all have to transition. Wow. So you know, as they say, I'd rather be a lion for a day than a lamb that lives forever. You know what I'm saying? It's like, regardless of this limited time that we're on this planet, we spend time trying to impress other people who are insecure themselves.
No question.
Who have shortnesses and who are looking for the light themselves. Yeah. And it's like we all, you know, like the song goes, man, we all you know, we slaves trying to fighting over the biggest chain, who got the biggest chains and the biggest whips.
Right.
You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, it's like, you know, I can impress you with my rap, but you know, we're in the same game. You know what I mean? So that's what it was for me. It's just like, look, man, you know, you can't kill me. I'm gonna die anyway. How about you know what I'm saying? And if you you know, in the words of Imam Jamil, if you put me in the prison, I'll be in solitary with my Lord. So, you know, so I care not about all that. So I guess that's where it was. Now, when that happened, I don't know. It just
you just realized one day it happened.
Man, listen, man. You know, we, what they say, we don't die, we multiply. You know what I mean? So,
question. Now it happened to me that way too. I didn't. It snuck up on me, man. But what you laid out as you kind of unpack that and laid out a beautiful, really kind of blueprint for how we should be thinking about this short period we have between eternity to be here. You know, that moment when you realize your mortality. I tell the students all the time, man, I think it was sometime around 50. All of a sudden, I was just like, I don't give a fuck. What happened? Like you said, man, not that I ever really cared, but it was like, man, if I'm not. Man, I don't even really get in beefs no more. I'll be like, man, time is short. I'm not really trying to beef. What is this bill?
I just turned 50 last December, and
yes, sir.
I feel like I'm in dinosaur years. So
it's crazy, right?
Yeah, it's like the elders or whatever. I would see certain elders and OGs. I'd be like, man, dude, be talking real reckless or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But now I realize it's like, look, motherfucker, I did my part. Sort of like what you said in an interview the other day about Sonia Sanchez.
Oh man,
when you said something about one of the professors was talking about, you know, they trying to get tenure. And what was that you said? You said
she said I'd never forget, man. And I should have said in her voice, man. You know how she be. She started blinking. You know, we all up for tenure, motherfucker.
Right.
She had that sweet voice when she said that shit. Man, we were at Medgar Evers, man, right over there in Brooklyn. Wow. And she was talking about the risk that people won't take, what fear stops them from doing. That's why what you said is so beautiful, man. And you know, she tells that story a lot about how she lost her job in New York.
Right.
You know, by standing with the students. The students had protested. The president wanted to discipline them. She stepped in between them and said, no, that's not going to happen. And she didn't realize when she did that they then made up their mind they weren't going to continue to rehire her. And she said, I couldn't find a job in New York. I had to leave New York.
Wow.
I mean,
Wow.
but here
This
she
is Sonya. Right.
Oh, of course, no question. But I mean, but at
Legendary.
the end of the day, there is no such thing as job security if you're in a revolution.
Man, listen.
And you can't save your black ass.
Man, listen. You know, I met her for the first time a couple years ago. So I was up at Philly at the International Lock Conference up there.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yes. Mama Kosa, rising power to her. But I was vending, so I had my back turned, and I turn around and see this little old woman, and I'm looking like, man, she looked like Sonya Sanchez. So I'm looking, I'm like, wait, that is Sonya Sanchez. So I'm going in fan mode, and she hasn't looked up yet. So then she looked up. I said, how you doing? She said, oh, how you doing, brother? How much for this t-shirt? I said, what?
I'm telling you, man.
I said, pick all the sizes you want. And she wouldn't even let me give it to her. Every time she now slid the money under something else and the whole nine. And I said, man, can I take a picture of you? She said, well, come on if you're coming.
Right. That's right. That beautiful spirit, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So that's a beautiful thing. You mentioned you made reference to Civil War, right? And again, one of the things I want to talk to you about was Martin and Malcolm. And I remember Mukasa Dada, formerly Mukasa Ricks.
Of course, yes.
He told me a story about King, and he was like, yeah, you know, folks be talking about Martin with that nonviolent shit. He said, you know, you see that Bible he walked around with? I said, yeah. He said, that motherfucker carried a 38 in it. So, it is Mukasa. So, you know, he on a whole another plane. But I wanted to ask you about you know, because there's this misnomer about the civil rights movement that everything was just about nonviolence. I want, if you don't mind, us touching on self-defense during the civil rights era, because of the fact that, you know, you get a lot of these young folks who have lost their damn mind talking about, I am not my ancestors and all that type shit. But I don't know what kind of punk ass ancestors you had.
How about that?
But the ancestors I have, you certainly not them. No, because like my man said on Carlito's Way, he said, you ain't like me, motherfucker, you was a punk. You know,
oh man, what my man said in the Mac shade tree. Anyway, you and them shade tree Negroes. You ain't know. Right. I won't continue the rest of the quote because it drives into the ditch of misogyny. But at least the shade. We got it though. We know. Yeah, you already know.
Right on.
Man. No, I think Kalonji, man, you have one of the finest minds and just best brothers that I think any of us know. Right around the corner from you down there, and that's our brother Akinyelu Mojo over at Georgia State.
Right.
You know, with his Baba AK, with his book We Will Shoot Back.
Definitely shout out to Baba AK for his work.
No question. I mean, and who traces that history of self-defense. And of course, we know self-defense started with the first Africans, with the first humans that would be on the planet. And so I ask the students all the time, say, when did resistance start in Africa? I said, well, the first time somebody put their hands on you and try to make you come someplace you wasn't trying to go. And them hands usually look like you. So, I mean, you know, even as Amos Wilson say, black on black violence in service of white domination. So, but that having been said, there was never a time when we weren't armed, of course, as we know, but AK does an incredible job of really tracing that movement, and gesturing toward the pre so-called civil rights movement. I mean, these academics now talk about the long civil rights movement like that's a revelation, right. But it's like no, the long freedom struggle. It's like the freedom struggle started when y'all fucked with us, and it continues to this day. There go the day.
Yeah.
Now you can
dig that up.
You know what I'm saying? So, but in the 30s, the 40s, I'm reminded, of course, of those great Africans, Rosa and Raymond Parks. Organizing to raise money for the Scottsboro Boys. You know, our brother Robin Kelly wrote his doctoral dissertation on that. It was his first book, Hammer and Hoe, Alabama Communists during the 30s and 40s. And Rosa Parks, who, of course, man, brilliantly told her own story so many times, not just out of her mouth, but writing. She was constantly writing. Right. You know, some of her papers, many of her papers, in fact, at the Library of Congress. And they had a Rosa Parks exhibit shortly before COVID hit. And I remember going down and just looking at the fact she's writing on the backs of envelopes, on napkins. She had notebooks, and she tells the story of being a little girl falling asleep at her grandfather's feet as he sat in the front room of their little house, and they made him, and she said they would make us, my grandparents make us put on all our clothes and go to bed, because if the Klan came riding through, we might have to leave. But he would be sitting in the rocking chair, in the chair with the gun. And she said, I would fall asleep there because, and to quote her, I wanted to see him kill a Ku Kluxer. So this is Rosa Parks as a little girl.
A gangster, huh?
You know what I'm saying? Little girl,
yeah.
What happened, man? They kick in the door. I mean, if they're gonna get us, they're gonna get us. At least I want
let them have it, boys.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, when Rosa Parks on that Cleveland Avenue bus, footnote, right. I've seen some bullshit on Amazon the other day. Have you seen these damn Rosa Parks Barbie dolls?
Man, I saw it, man, with the bus and everything.
Bruh, with the toy Cleveland Avenue bus, and it looked like the white boy sitting at the damn wheel.
I was totally confused, man. I'm like, boy, her estate sued Outkast.
How about that?
Paid homage to her. But, you know, you got Mattel or Hasbro, whoever the hell it is, making her look like what's homegirl, like AOC or somebody.
Exactly.
You know
exactly. I'm like, come on, man. Well, like your brother Boots Riley said, the coup, man, capitalism is like a spider. The web is getting tighter. Like a fighter. I'm like, come on, man. Y'all got Rosa Parks in a fucking Barbie, man, with the bus. But I raised that to say that when she's sitting there, and of course Claudette Colvin, who is still alive.
Yes. I'm trying to reach out to her too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You loaded for bear, man.
If you get a plug, then please let me know. I'm reaching out for. Yeah.
No doubt. It's some people here in DC who I know her. Let me see, can I figure out? You know,
that'd be powerful.
Yeah. I mean, I'll do what I can, brother. Absolutely.
Cool. Because she's one of those unsung heroes. Again, I think that you know, they and again, that comes with the whole colorism thing. We know that, but at the same time. At the same time, it's like, you know, they want to pretend that there was no resistance, and that, you know, that one day Rosa got upset because her feet hurt, and she said, "I ain't gonna move." You know what I'm saying?
No question.
End of story.
And as you know, I mean, in that formation, she was the youth secretary of the NAACP in Montgomery, and now I'm forgetting about the Bob with the gun. We come into Martin, we build the toy there because, of course, he ends up in Montgomery with those cats, and that leading pillar. In many ways, a brother who we mention sometimes, but don't really get into a lot. The great Edgar Daniel Nixon, E.D. Nixon, a Pullman man who was in Montgomery, who was over there in NAACP for a long time. One of my classmates from Temple, April Woodson, wrote a book on him, small book on E.D. Nixon, and I'm waiting for one of these vulture academics who work on people. I'm working on E.D. Nixon. What the hell does that mean? I'm going to ride E.D. Nixon's ass into tenure and a nice fat salary so I can be a college revolutionary on the lecture circuit, right? No, and win the book awards for my open enemy. But at any rate, but E.D. Nixon, man, a Pullman man, out of Montgomery, was part of those formations, and Miss Parks was one of the advisors. And in terms of violence and nonviolence, you know, that those teenagers who Mrs. Parks was responsible for included some of those young people around the high school there, the segregated high school in Montgomery. And think about, of course, as we say, Claudette Colvin, who says that when I got on the bus that day, that white boy finally they put me off. And they told me to move, and they put their hands on me. I just dug in my hands in the seat. You know, she pulled her Ida B. Wells. You know, that's how they put Ida B. Wells off that train. When she sued the train company, she dug her hands in the, you know, and she said, I felt like I couldn't move because I had just come from class, talk about Woodson.
Right.
They celebrated, of course, Negro History Week at the segregated school, Claudette Colvin went to high school. And they also studied it year round. And I forget the name of her teacher, but she said, we had just finished a lesson. And I felt like I had Sojourner Truth on one shoulder and Harriet Tubman on the other shoulder holding me down, and they wouldn't let me stand up and get off that bus. So Claudette Colvin is a teenage girl, man. And what you really see is the teachers, it's the black school. And that's so, right. You know, Miss Park is part of that community. E.D. Nixon is part of that community. And so the reason I brought her up, though, in terms of the Scottsboro boys is in the 30s, she tells a story about how they would meet at different houses to talk about raising money for the Scottsboro boys. Because, of course, the Communist Party was doing their work. Even the NAACP, Walter White and them Negroes didn't want to get too close. That bourgeois,
that's right.
You know, Richard Wright kind of deals in that little bit of native son, man. You ain't really but the blacks in places like Alabama, these rural and these Southerners, they were raising money. And Miss Park say, before the meeting start, everybody pull out their gun and put it on the table so that we could just go on with business. I mean, in other words, they all had guns, man.
Sound like Queen Mother Moore.
Queen, oh man, speak Garvey, speak, baby. No question.
Man, without a doubt.
Queen Mother Moore used to come to Columbus every year on her birthday. We would have a birthday party for Queen Mother Moore, man. So I got to see Queen Mother Moore many times in Columbus. So shout out to the African Center for Study and Worship, the great Mariba Kelsey, who's there in Atlanta. Baba Mariba will be 95 his next birthday, man. He was and he is Pittsburgh community, the black community there in Atlanta, man. Them cats, you know.
So he's right in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, well, he's from Pittsburgh. He was born and raised in Pittsburgh. He went to Tuskegee, traveled the world. His family. Man,
I'm gonna have to look for him.
I definitely look. He's still on the wall, man. His son and daughters are medical professionals. 2 doctors. In fact, his daughter Reba is the president of the Southern Region of ASCAC. In fact, Baba Mukasa's wife is a member of the chapter there in Atlanta. I mean, so everybody, exactly. I mean, you know, ain't no degree of separation. We all together. But I raise that because when King comes to Montgomery, trying to make a name for himself, obviously trying to escape the shadow of the old man. Eventually he got to go back to Ebenezer, but and take over the pulpit. But he's gonna come to Dexter Avenue, and of course he's there, as we know. I mean, all this is twice told story, of course, but Dexter Avenue is a solidly black middle class, petty bourgeois class. Jim Crow creates a sense of racial solidarity, but they still strivers. And they got rid of Vernon Johns just before him, the brother who was selling watermelons on the property and this kind of thing, talking about black self-determination. Like, bro, you can't have the pastor Dexter Avenue in the shadow of the Montgomery Capitol overall selling watermelons and turnip greens on
there's a hell of a
contradiction. You up in Montgomery, right there between the state capitol, it's a few steps to Dexter Avenue, and between Dexter Avenue and the Montgomery, the state capitol, is that big block of marble with the inscription, "This is the first place that Dixie was played in public." I'm like, damn, woo, boy, you gotta be a Southern.
That's a hell of a contradiction, ain't it?
Bro, it's all right there in like a block and a half, man.
But you have to respect that, because of the fact that that's one thing about these crackers in the South. They let you know exactly how they feel. It ain't no misunderstanding, no miscommunication, none of that. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, please don't, man, because that's why I love being from the South. Wait a minute now. So you was raised in Connecticut. Where are your people from?
Well, my mother's from the Greenville, South Carolina area.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
How you end up in Connecticut, man?
Man,
your pops from where?
He's actually his side of the family's from Trinidad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I can see it. I can see it in your face, man. So, yes, sir.
Yeah, so that's I guess that would be the more rebellious side of things. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know, them South Carolina Negroes known to turn up, man.
Oh yeah. So
Negroes, boy.
So my mother actually, it's funny because of the fact that my mother graduated from the same school as Jesse. So it's funny because his mother would actually stay. His mother and Rosa Parks would actually stay with my aunt here in Atlanta. She's deceased now. But they would come down, and when they were in the Atlanta area, they would stay with her. In fact, Jesse's my aunt married Jesse's first cousin. You know what I mean? So
I heard you say that before. I don't know. Maybe it was in passing on one of the shows. I think
might have been.
Yeah.
I ain't claim jumping. I'm just saying.
No. No reason I asked is because my mother's father was a farmer my grandparents were farmers in Alabama. Russell County, same county as Michael Jackson's mother's from, the Screws family. All them singers is on his mom's line. And but I raised it because my granddaddy got a chance to get a job on the railroad in Connecticut. Wow. And he refused to go because it was too cold. So we might have been born in the same. I mean, I wonder what drew them into Connecticut. It was almost always jobs, man.
And that's exactly what it was. It's funny you said that, because my grandmother. My grandmother's sister had lived up there, and of course it was that whole great migration to the north. And real quick, it's funny because of the fact that I remember when Obama had won the election, my grandmother called me the next day, and she was happy. She was like, "Man, I never in my life thought that I would see a black president." And it was like she told me a story about how when she used to work for these white folks, she would she was a housekeeper more or less, and everything else they needed her to be, and she talked about how she would cook for them, but she would have to eat in the pantry.
Oh man.
You know, they'll be eating their food at the big table, and she'd have to go eat her own food that she cooked inside the pantry. So you know, although, you know, of course, I have my you know, I mean, I'm there's no question in regards to my politics. You know what I'm saying? I looked at, you know, I looked at things symbolically from my grandmother because of the fact that they weren't punks. They were still fighting these crackers.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I understand, like, okay, boom, what did you have to go to? My mother talks about segregation and them fighting on the bus and all that type stuff. And you know what I mean? Because of the fact that, you know, of course, she grew up in the 60s and whatnot. So, you know, so it's yeah, so that's kind of, you know, that's where the fire comes from. It's a long history, but
no, but
yeah.
it all fits in that same place. And as you evoke Baba Mukasa, and when you talk about King being strapped like that,
Right
which of course doesn't make it, he's not an outlier. In fact, the only sane thing would be either you got the strap or somebody next to you. So as we're talking about this, you know, it reminds us that for all of our search for ideological clarity, all of our study, all of our debate, it really comes down to the lived experiences of our people. And you know, and so even thinking about Rosa Parks and Raymond Parks and them being strapped when they raising money through the 30s and 40s and 50s, Edie Nixon and them very clear about that, coming through to the time King gets to Dexter Avenue, of course, and comes into a space where there is a classism in the Black community, of course, as just about all times, but that classism is also informed with a fierce self-determination thrust, and also an armed dimension to that. All that congeals into that Montgomery bus boycott. I think about, of course, Ralph Abernathy, who, you know, of course, lived until fairly recently, certainly there in Atlanta, and how after they try to blow up King's house, you know, King and Ralph go down looking for gun permits. I mean, you know, at some point you got to make a distinction. And even though this is often smoothed over in popular culture, like film, and for my money, for a popular film, one of the best, and you know, it's not saying much, but it's still better than maybe the alternatives. For me, have you seen that movie Boycott? It came on HBO.
I'm trying to think, you know,
Carr Johnson, who was in The Wire, he played in the last season of The Wire.
I didn't see it. I didn't get a chance to see it.
It's excellent. In fact, I think it's excellent. You know, it's so funny because Carmine Jogo, who plays Coretta Scott King in that,
she plays. Yeah, she's awesome. Yeah, she's
awesome, man. And of course, Jeffrey Wright plays Martin Luther King. That's where they met.
Okay, I was going to say, I thought that was his ex-wife. Right?
Yeah, they met on that set. In fact, Jeffrey Wright tells the story. You know, right from DC. Jeffrey Wright tells the story like I was trying to impress her. Not being Martin Luther King, man. That's what. So, but the story is based on. I forget the name of the book. It's not Thunder of Angels. Oh, Daybreak of Freedom. I'm looking at the volume over there, which is like the oral histories of the Montgomery bus boycott. So you see, for example, the brother that played in Pootie Tang, Dirty D or whatever.
Okay,
Reggie Cathy. He plays Edie Nixon.
Right.
It's an all-star cast, man. And these cats, what you see is some of the layers. Like, for example, they had to buy cars because, you know, they tried to tax the cabs, the black cab company out of business. So they had the car
carpool.
Carpool, exactly. And they purchased some cars. When people would send them money from around,
that's organizing right there, right on.
Straight organizing. And in fact, I got a book over here somewhere, and I'll never be able to put my hands on it, but it's a volume of testimonies, another book of testimonies from people who were in the boycott. Every penny that came into Montgomery for the boycott, and when they created the Montgomery Improvement Association, all that money went into black banks. So what they did was they farmed that money and donations out to black banks across the South, like Citizens in Nashville, because King went to Fist to speak. Are you taking checks up there? The white boys couldn't. I mean, so when we think about the bus boycott, it's usually about the bus and the walking and the courage, and all that's true. But what we don't normally get a sense of is the full scale resistance, including you even had cats who were unhoused or housing insecure in Montgomery. Their job was to sleep in the cabs. Sleep in the cars. So the white boys come here to start some stuff, man. These cats is like, we ready, baby. We done had our liquid courage. We were knucking you up. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, everybody had a role. So when we start talking about nonviolence, that's the edited piece that isn't trying to tell the history. It's trying to send us a message. Y'all don't fight them. So AK, I mean, I think Bob AK does a great job, and of course, between Mississippi,
we got to get him on here as well.
oh, no
Absolutely.
question. Because see, because this didn't even be something I really need to be talking about in detail. Because Charlie Cobb, our brother Charlie Cobb,
Right
is
on,
from
right on.
SNCC,
Yes.
from the DC area. His book, which I love, man, that nonviolent stuff will get you killed. And Charlie always tells a story that's what a brother told Martin Luther King in Mississippi after he heard King speak. Except Charlie, of course, being the good African he is, he edited it for publication because he said the old man came up to King and said, "Son, I like what you talk about, but that nonviolent shit will get you killed. I'm not giving up my gun." And so Cobb tells page after page, he's telling the story of all these cats, man, Amzie Moore and all them cats that them SNCC people worship, man. Bob Moses and them worship them. Dory Ladner,
Bob Moses, yes.
Oh, the great Bob Moses, right? Because they said, in fact, what was it the first time he went to Mississippi? Of course, Bob Moses talks about Amzie Moore. Amzie Moore's son is a professor in Chicago, and he's Babalaw, in fact. I mean, so all this, Africans, we don't get too far from the root. But Medgar Evers, of course, Army veteran, strapped. The only way the Beckwith could get him was shoot him in the back because that brother had the strap in the car. I mean, it's like
they knew what time it was.
They knew what time.
But like the cowards they are, they gotta catch you slipping.
They gotta catch you slipping. No question. No question.
But definitely, and shout out to Mississippi. I mean, because of the fact that, first of all, the fact that to even live in Mississippi during that time, that's one thing. But to have the audacity to stand up when you talk about places like Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, places like that, these are places, me being from the North, I mean, there's certain places to this day that you got your eyes up, your fist clenched, the whole nine. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Because of the fact that you have to be clear about where you're going. I remember we were going to Chokwe Lumumba's funeral, and I was in the car with Daruba and another comrade, and we going like 100 miles an hour through Mississippi. I'm scared to death. Praying that the police don't pull us over because I just got a feeling it ain't gonna go well, and all we know is we going home. So that's all I'm gonna say.
Yes, sir.
So I'm just like, man. I'm like, man, slow down. He said,
sometimes you safe there.
Huh?
We say y'all going 60.
That's what Daruba said.
Yeah, right. No, but I think it's so funny, and I'm trying to remember who told me this story. Oh, maybe it was Bob. It wasn't Hannibal that freak. This has been many years. It may come back to him, but the story was there were some kids, Mississippi, who were in school at Mississippi Valley State in Itabena, and they were coming home. And they got home that night, and they got in and said, we were kind of concerned because it was dark, and the elder was like, "No, y'all were good, because we had eyes on y'all from the time y'all left campus to the time y'all got here." In other words, and that's what Bob AK writes about in Charlie Cobb and them. They had cats who were strapped. Like when we see the documentaries and we see the footage, they marching down the middle of the day. Why ain't the Klan shooting them? Because it was cats strapped over there in the bushes. Like the Klan even look up. We're gonna end this whole thing.
One just dogs and water hoses.
No, sir. No, sir. So I mean, I think, in fact, sometimes I feel safer in those places. And you mentioned another of our great warriors, man. I think about brother Antar, brother Chokwe Antar, and his sister, of course, Rukia, who went to Howard Law School. She's a graduate last. In fact, last time I saw Rukia, she was on campus talking to the students. But Baba Chokwe, I used to tell him, man, I say there's only two lawyers who made me think about perhaps I should just practice law for a while, see what it's like. One is Chokwe Lumumba, and the other was Alton Maddox. Because Bob, they had to take Alton's law license, man. Alton said, just put 12 in the box. I'm gonna get your ass off, man. Alton Maddox, man.
Man, listen, man. I remember him and Dick Gregory was down here together, and
really?
Yeah, and I think it was him, Dick Gregory, Cynthia McKinney, Tawana Brawley, and they let me say a few words, and I felt like I was, on the banks of heaven, because I think that the one thing, like, and with you just coming up, the difference between now and back in the day is that you couldn't touch a microphone if you weren't qualified.
Oh, hell no. Wouldn't want to.
Nah, nowadays,
I'm not going up there. Shit.
Nowadays ain't no shame. You just get on your computer and talk that shit.
None.
And and folks look at you like you the Messiah.
Bruh.
You know what I mean? But definitely
this was when they were doing the tour, when they were after Tawana.
No. This was years later. This might have been
really?
Yeah. This is man, probably it had to be in the last 10 years, I would say. Yeah, but it was down here in Atlanta. But no, that was and I think it was some kind of anniversary or whatever, and they had Tawana as a guest. But yeah, man, this is when you talk about just warriors and freedom fighters and attorneys, of course, like you said, the automatics and the C. Vernon Masons, and you know what I'm saying, and so many others, of course, Chokwe. Oftentimes folks hear about Johnny Cochran, but I would say pound for pound, round for round, Johnny Cochran was more what's homeboy name? Ben Crump than than
you being kind to Ben Crump, brother.
On the real.
I don't know Ben Crump, but I tell you what, it's so funny, man. We was all in school together, man. We were in Philly when Mally was in law school. Before Mally went to law school, Mel Davis, he and Mally Davis. So
wow.
Our idols, man. I say idols, but the people we looked up to in terms of president, you're exactly right, man. It was the Automaticses, it was the Vernon Masons, it was the Chokwe Lumumbas,
Roger Wares and folks
Roger Ware, no question, man. Even in terms of white boys, you got to put Bill Kunster on that list.
You can't talk about it.
National Lawyers Guild, man. Arthur
Liz,
Camillo,
all of them.
They'll fight your ass. In fact, black people like, look, man, you can only do that because you white. Now we come out here and do this shit.
Right.
They gonna put you in jail. What's the white girl they put in jail? They tried to kill her in jail because she represented Khalid Sheikh Mohammed.
Liz Fink.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about.
Matter of fact, she was the Ruber's lawyer as well.
Yes.
Yeah,
I mean, to me, that's where ideology breaks down.
Right on.
And we have to be very pragmatic about this.
That's right.
It's all fun and games till your ass go to jail. Now you need somebody with that digit barcode to bar ID to get your ass out of jail. Now, when you get out, you can start talking about the system collapse and we got to overthrow the system. But in that moment when your ass go to jail,
that's right. That was Lynn Stewart. Shout out to
Lynn Stewart
in the chat. Lynn Stewart, and shout out to Bob Boyle and some of these other and that's important. The difference between folks talk about white allies. We don't need white allies. We need white comrades.
No question.
You know what I'm saying? We need folks who we know that are willing to go beyond just these marches and rallies, and they should be the cannon fodder. I mean, shit.
No question.
You benefit off of
like that. Volunteer to be the cannon fodder. They don't even have to convince them. They already know.
Hey, without question. Without question.
So,
hey, man, you know us, man. I'm enjoying this convo. Let's get a little bit into Martin and Malcolm. So folks they false advertising.
No. In fact, we just laying a foundation to talk about
it. Just getting ready.
Stitch it all together. That's how
right on.
On.
But I wanted to ask you too, because of the fact that it's so many. When we talk about Martin and we talk about Malcolm, we're talking about two brothers who, for all practical purposes, they never saw 40.
No,
these are two brothers who were cut down at age 39. You know what I mean? I want to, people always doing the comparison thing, and they talk about the differences. What would you say some of the similarities in regards to strength? Because I often remind folks, when you talk about, a Martin King, like you said, just on the strength of rolling with the quote unquote nonviolence, you had to be a brave, bad dude to face this time and time again. It's not like, and no disrespect, or maybe it is to folks like the Sharptons and all of them. You know what I'm saying? They cool when the cameras is on.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
But Martin them, they didn't care if it was a camera on. They're gonna keep on coming. So what would you say some of the similarities in strength would be between Martin and Malcolm?
I think their minds, first of all. I mean, maybe up until 7th, 8th grade, you could probably make the argument that Malcolm was the better student not just in terms of, I'm not thinking now in terms of natural ability or talent, but I'm just turning in terms of aspiration. He wanted to be a lawyer, this kind of thing. And I remember when we almost lost Sister Betty's cachet of documents. Right. Remember, it was in that storage place in Florida or whatever, and they put the money together. Schomburg had. I went up there to see. They put an exhibit together, and you saw Malcolm's coat on, and you saw some of his, and they had some of his report cards from when he was a kid. And he's a good student, man. And not that Martin was a bad student, but in terms of their minds, I think how they were surrounded. Another sister, and I had a book over here somewhere. I eventually got it on the mothers of Malcolm and James Baldwin and them, but it's actually a brand new book. Let me see if I have it over here. I have it right here.
Man, what book don't you have? I mean, it's
many books, but that's why I'm broke, man. On HBCU professor salary.
Ain't good on with that, man. Hey, they should be throwing you books.
No. That's for the Negroes on the approved list.
Okay.
The ones who I remember when Jared wrote his the I Mix What I Like, the mixtape, the book. The first quote in there, I was very honored that he actually put it in there, my brother Jared. It was a quote from a talk I gave in Philadelphia. We had an ASCAT conference, and I said, when you get those books with the blurbs on the back by all the super friends Negroes that blurb each other's books and call each other superheroes on each other in the back of each other's book, that is the book you should never quote. That's the book you read for the sources and then say, okay, I didn't know about that, thank you, but their interpretation is very nearly worthless. It's
good for theory.
He's good for theory. Yeah, that's all they're doing, right? So but this book just came out. It's very interesting. This is white lady, Jessica Russell, but she befriended and became very close friends to Hilda Little, Yvonne Jones, Steve Jones. Hilda Little, Malcolm's sister, her children, and she wrote something called The Life of Louise Norton Little, an extraordinary. This is Malcolm's mother. That's actually her passport photo from the Caribbean. So what she had is access to the documents. So what you see is, for example, and I'll give you a better picture of it. This is her passport from Grenada. So, she left the Caribbean and went to Canada. It's very interesting because, of course, she disappears from history. She's a victim of state violence. They put her in, let me see, in fact, here is Malcolm's mother when she's younger, and I'll show you one more picture and get to this point in terms of the similarities between the two. Here she is with one of her granddaughters. That's Yvonne's daughter. See, because Malcolm, of course, Malcolm's mother, as you said, she outlives Malcolm by decades, man, because they get her out of that place they had her. Malcolm was alive when they did that. But I raised that to say that one of the similarities is strong mothers, strong families. And of course, they kill her father, which is ironic because since Earl is in Georgia, the history of Earl and Louise, part of the reason that they leave, there's colorism involved. Earl had an earlier wife, of course, that is Ella's mother. Of course, Malcolm goes live with Ella in Boston. And Ella, man, whoo! Sometimes I go on YouTube, man. Ella Collins, man, was no joke, man.
Man, listen. Yeah. And she's rarely mentioned.
Rarely mentioned.
Yeah. Definitely shout out.
You hear her though, man.
Yeah.
And did you? Well, that's right. She was up in New England. Did you ever cross paths with her, man?
I never did.
Rondell, I guess, it was her nephew. I think I've seen him a couple times with Peter Bailey.
Yeah. I saw Peter Bailey, but I never saw.
Okay. The reason I mentioned is, when you hear her, and of course, I am the one who socialized Malcolm.
Right.
It's very clear that the discipline in my house. I'm like, damn. When you hear Malcolm, you say, oh, he was listening to Paul Robeson records in jail.
That's right.
But when you hear his sister, you realize this was a man shaped by.
She impacted as well, right?
Oh, no question. It wasn't just his father. He always follows the Garvey. Okay, yeah, but Ella, man. And Ella, of course, I'm very proud of my color because I was dark skinned. You see, Malcolm he had some trouble as a child because he was so fair. She started like, damn. So when you sent Malcolm to live after they broke up Malcolm's family, which of course King never experienced growing up in that middle class piece, but the two, in fact,
what was the name of that book that you just said?
Oh, this one. This is Jessica Russell. It's called The Life of Louise Norton Little, an extraordinary woman, mother of Malcolm X and her 7. She actually and what's crazy is all these cats winning these worthless book awards, these academics, some of whom are my friends, who should remain nameless at this point. This book is self-published.
Wow.
This is the book on her. So
On her
what'll
mother.
happen is, of
On
course,
Malcolm's mother.
yeah. So some of these Negroes will wait, figure
Yeah.
out a way to get at the documents through this,
Cash in on
and
it.
we'll look up in a year or two, and there'll be a Netflix special on Louise and the right people. But in the meantime, and again, as you said, you talk about allies.
Right.
Well, they trust her to tell the story, and she was faithful to it. You know what I'm saying? So hey, I ain't mad at you. Get the stuff out there. But in terms of the similarities, I think strong families, both of them, at least initially, until they, the cats murder his father and try to drive his mother insane and break up the family, so to speak. But and this is why I said I resisted the urge, man, to go and try to curate out, because most of my stuff is in storage, man. But I had the books I had around here. Jack Odell, who of course was one of King's lieutenants. This is and I didn't dig out the Freedom Ways, the actual article, the copy it's in, but it's just reprinted in this book called Climbing Jacob's Ladder. Jack Odell is so important, who just made transition not too long ago. He talks about how Malcolm and Martin were part of the same basic field of violence in Black America, but that the difference between them is really a distinction that might not necessarily be a distinction with a qualitative difference in this regard. Malcolm, of course, raised in the North, Martin in the South, Martin a kind of urban South, that Atlanta being a source, and then Malcolm's North, he's a teenager before, although he's sent to Ella, early. Right. But before that, between Omaha, Nebraska, which is interesting, man, because that whole Omaha story, he's born in Omaha, of course.
That's heavy.
But yet Omaha had the biggest Black population in that area, man. I mean, and so Bob Gibson and them cats came out of Omaha. In fact, Bob Gibson took what's the brother? Kurt Flood. Kurt Flood, who of course broke up the free agent stuff in Major League Baseball when they were playing for the Cardinals. Bob Gibson took Kurt Flood to the temple in St. Louis to hear at the Nation. You know what I'm saying? Kurt Flood is like, Bob Gibson took me to Bob Gibson from Omaha, Malcolm from Omaha. It's like you got these Black hardcore Black pockets.
They got some serious revolution, even from the Panther Party. Omaha is not a, it's not a game.
No question. I heard Mama Charlotte, man. Did y'all have Mama Charlotte? Was it today?
Yeah. We had on the Panther reunion, the 55th Panther anniversary. Yes. Man,
she was last time I saw her, she was at, and she don't know me from Adam, but we were at Kansas City for MBuff. They had the anniversary of MBuff. We were out there, but she was in town. But so the similarity being that while Malcolm was from the North, it's really in some ways the rural North, in some way, between there and Lansing, and then eventually Boston, then New York, and the rest is history, as we know. But what Jack Odell talks about is the convergences. It's almost like, and actually, this is why I love my man Vincent Harding. And I got a chance to spend some time with Vincent Harding before he made transit. Vincent Harding, man, this book he wrote, Martin Luther King, The Inconvenient Hero. He makes the comparison between Martin and Malcolm. And what he basically says, and I tell you who else says that. In fact, James Cone, the theologian, who made the transition not too long ago, he actually writes. We say.
Definitely another hardcore worker. Matter of fact, I think your man, we had Cornel West on. I believe.
Cornel.
Moved into his home or something like that.
He sure did. Union Theological Seminary. After Cone made transition, when he left Harvard that second time, he's at Union now. Cornell, no question. Right. And by the way, man, this is one of the geniuses, it seems to me, of Black Power media. If Black people are talking about something that need to be talked about, you bring them in and have a conversation. That's a beautiful thing. And I'm watching Cornell over the last, since COVID, really. Well, a little bit before, but this COVID thing, it's like you can see him continuing to develop these different communication. And Cornell don't say no to nobody, which is a beautiful thing. I don't know how he does it.
to an extent.
No. Of course, he's gonna be Cornell, no question. He's gonna call everybody brother. You gonna wince? No, brother.
Right. He gonna rap.
But that conversation y'all had, man, was just powerful. But James Cone writes the afterword to the diary that Haki published of Malcolm. Because this was the book. This is one of the books that they recovered. Right. And remember, they Herb Boyd and Ilyasha edited it. And so, but one of the things Cone says, and Harding says this too, is that you can't talk about Martin without Malcolm.
Right.
It's dishonest because they were both involved. In fact, let me just say what he says. He says most whites want blacks to choose Martin over Malcolm.
That's right.
But we blacks and other Americans interested in justice, there's Cone given the font. I guess he got to do that, but should never celebrate Martin without giving equal respect to Malcolm. When King was having a dream, Malcolm said, the rest of us Negroes was having a nightmare. Without confronting the nightmare, there will not ever be a chance to create a beloved community. How can we overcome racism if we don't admit how deep this cancer is embedded in American history and culture? And then they go on. But what I'm going to say in terms of similarity is what allowed Malcolm to critique Martin like that. And then as he continued to figure out how to connect with Malcolm, sustain that loving critique in something like, for example, when they started the OAAU,
right,
1964, you see Malcolm at the founding meeting of the OAAU, and it's in Malcolm X speaks. It's in a lot of places. He says this. I had a copy right there. So he says, wait a minute, here we go. Let me see, can I find it? Oh, and one thing we're going to do, we're going to dispatch a wire, a telegram that is, in the name of the Organization of Afro-American Unity to Martin Luther King in St. Augustine, Florida, and to Jim Foreman in Mississippi, worded in essence to tell them that if the federal government doesn't come to their aid, call on us. That's right. We will take the responsibility of slipping some brothers into that area who know what to do by any means necessary. One of the similarities is they loved black people.
That's right.
And because of that love for black people, the thing that they never got a chance to do, and that's what Jack Odell talks about, they never got a chance to talk in the way where they could have figured out how to help each other, because Malcolm was not closed off to that. King was not closed off to that. The forces that would keep them apart really understood that both of them were essentially in the same art. And here's another similarity. Another similarity, and this may be the most important similarity, they had a very keen and developing, I think Martin later than Malcolm, but certainly in that direction of internationalism.
Right. Right.
So you can't call Malcolm Martin a black nationalist, but in many ways he is an internationalist, a radical internationalist, not necessarily race first.
Especially when he started talking about the war in Vietnam, and also, that's hanging out with Stokely and
that's right,
folks like that.
That's right.
It's funny you bring that up because of the fact that when I think of OAU, that's another chapter in history that folks, they talk about it like it was just he was about to do something. You had folks like Baba Herman Ferguson, who I got an opportunity to interview. Rising power to him. Yuri Kochiyama, another comrade on the West Coast, or whatever, who I knew. And
you knew wow.
Yes. I met her during Black August. I would host the events over the commemorations over in Oakland back in the mid 2000s. They would fly me over, and I would see her every year. And it's like I walk up to her.
I watched you talk about that. Actually, you talked about that last August. Yes.
So I would walk up to her and I'm like, how you doing? You're Kalonji. Oh, Kalonji from Atlanta. And how such and such. And her mind was so sharp. And she was well into her late 80s during that time. You know what I mean? But as soon as I say my name, it clicked. But I had interviewed Muhammad Ahmed, formerly Max Stanford.
Oh yeah. Know him well, and still in Philly. No question.
He told a story about when they had the situation down at Strawberry Mansion in Philadelphia, where they were organizing a strike against these. They was organizing against this construction company, and the construction company had them attacked and locked up, so on and so forth. And he said that he made a phone call from the jail. They asked him where do you want to call, so he said he wanted to call Temple number 7. So he said he called Temple number 7 in Harlem and asked to speak to Minister Malcolm. And he said that Malcolm said, look, I could send some folks to you, but I can't send them in, they can't be in nation gear, so on and so forth. According to Muhammad Ahmed, he said that they had 30,000 people that showed up down there and rained on that place, whatever, and put things in check. But he said the police thought that he was joking when he said he was calling Minister Malcolm. He was like, whatever, But he told that story just from the organizational perspective. But I'm saying all that to say just the connections between the nationalist community and the civil rights community. You had SNCC and the SCLC. You had RAM and SCLC. SNCC and SCLC, NAACP, and so many of these different organizations. But I think that one of the things that folks have made attempts to do, particularly white folks, like what you just said, is making a distinction and separating the two, saying, okay, boom, either you on this side of the fence or you on that side of the fence.
Yeah.
You know, in Georgia, they'll tell you quick, when you venture outside of Atlanta, the police pull you over, they say, you ain't in Atlanta no more, boy, you in Georgia. You know what I'm saying? So it's clarity. You know what I'm saying?
Jeez, man.
But you know, so I'm saying all to say that they see us as one threat, and they attempt to divide us as, you know, the opposite.
It's no question, and we see each other often as one community. Depending that story you just told with Baba Ahmed, Muhammad Ahmed,
who's another unsung hero.
Oh man, still on the wall, man. Still on post.
That's right.
Still on post, man. You know, Philly is like no question. Philly's like a second home to me, man. I never forget. I was in Daoud Hakim's bookstore on my hands and knees looking for books, and I came across a copy of then Max Stanford's master's thesis and RAM. And I called Robin Kelly, and I was like, man, where is Max Stanford? And he said, I think he's in Cleveland somewhere. Some kind of way it tracked him down. And of course, he's a Philly guy.
Right.
And we got him back to Philly, and that's when he started teaching at Temple. I said, because we got to get, man, Muhammad Ahmad. Like we both know, Kalonji, we've known too many of our freedom fighters.
That's right.
And of course, thank you, man, for always raising the name. Well, you always do in terms of political prisoners, but of course, the great Imam Jamil Alameen, who, even if they are not physically prisoners of the state, still struggling to just feed themselves, to move. Muhammad Ahmad should never have any discomfort in life. He just be sitting around telling stories, man. That's and right. So, you know, but he
real in the village,
no question. And he's a warrior, though, man. He's still so.
But man, I got stories. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure you already know. Like I said, especially him, some of them statutes limitations they ain't never off. So I mean, that's just. But when you said that, it reminds me that, you know, if memory serves me correctly, I'm pretty much sure Malcolm set up number 12 in Philly. I think he stood because he lived in Philly for a while, of course.
Okay.
And he was very close with Jeremiah Shabazz.
Okay.
Who I didn't know Jeremiah Shabazz. I saw him one time. He came to Temple to give a talk, and my professor, you know, I was interested in listening. But if you know, of course, thinking about this idea that white people look at us all the same, and they have no idea how close we are to each other, particularly in that era, because when you know the history of the Nation of Islam in Philly, remember when Malcolm leaves the nation or is trying to get back in the nation, one of the areas he considers going to and has correspondence with, and any of the stuff talks about, even Manny Marable's flawed book, and of course I'm looking at Jared and Todd's book right here, Live Reinvention, of course, excellent work. But of course, Kamal got a piece in there, Franklin, of course, among many others, but Jeremiah Shabazz is one of the points of contact Malcolm reaches out to, but the Philly heads will tell you in a hot minute, which is why when you said that many people showed up, I wonder how many of them were actually from Philly, given the fact that number 12 was very deeply ensconced in the community, and that Philadelphia community included, as we know, them cats that were also on the other side of the law, Sam Christian and them boys, man. So I mean, you know, even when I was looking at Godfather of Harlem, I said, "How you gonna do Sam Christian like that, man?" Everybody in Philly I know was mad as hell because I mean, in fact, the story they telling in Philly, man, and it's in what's the white dude who was a cop, wrote a book called Black Brothers Incorporated about the Philly Black Mafia. Right. He said, you know, it was known in Philadelphia, don't mess with the Muslims. You could park your car on South Street with a bag full of money in the back seat, and if you put a Quran in the front dash, you can leave all the windows down in the middle.
That's your parking pass.
No question. So I'm saying, if he made a call to number 7, I suspect that call then went to number 12, and half them cats that came out there, the cops was like, man, don't even mess with it. These are boys.
let them do what they're gonna do, and we'll talk
Let
later.
them do what they're gonna do. No question.
Yeah,
You know how the police are. They got real courage until it's in the middle of the night. In some neighborhoods, they don't patrol.
Man, what they say, there's too much power for one black man that black man to have.
No question. And then so now what do you do with that when you're like Malcolm? And this is another similarity, see. Both of these guys were embraced by rank and file black people.
That's right.
But of course, King has a foot in both worlds because he came out of that petty bourgeois world. And so that very same Cornerstone church he came out of and the family he came out of in Auburn Avenue, you know this much better than I do, obviously, because you're right there in the center of it and you see the implications for it.
Right on.
And by the way, congratulations on not returning that Howard University graduate and seller of all interests of black people back to office, Kasim Reed. Like, I mean, I know all the politicians are the same, but damn, I'm just glad.
That's the black Trump. Right.
Bruh, I'm saying, man, you stuck a whole ass spaceship over there and tried to knock the damn AUC off the hill, and you want another chance.
He's colder than the white man.
And the Cobb County Crackers not coming back to Atlanta, brother. And Buckhead getting ready to secede. I wish we could stop them hip hop boys from giving all that damn diamond money to that jewelry store they got out there in Buckhead. But either way, what I was about to say is King is part of that world.
Right on.
So John Wesley Dodds and all them cats who, you know, in the Maynard Jackson line, King could have very easily been part of the petty bourgeoisie.
That's right.
But because he wasn't, because he had feet in both worlds, like when he goes to Chicago.
Right. When
he's there in 67 and
they threw the brick, hit him in the head, and what was that, Merritt Park?
You know what I'm saying? But one of the reasons why the gangs, the organizations of these brothers and sisters in Chicago had respect for King was he moved into the hood. He moved into the project. He went and he invited these cats over to their apartment in the hood, the projects, to have conversations. He had public conversations with them, with city officials, because Daley and them couldn't really body him because he had the prestige. So now you got to sit with these cats. So they looked at him. They looked at him like, okay, you soft, but you also hard.
Right.
You didn't come up on the south side. You didn't come on the west side of Chicago. You from the south. But
we respect you based on how you move.
We respect you, bro.
We gotta
respect you. No question. Right. And so you can see how that becomes a blueprint of sorts for a young cat like Fred Hampton.
Right on. Right on.
I mean, you know, so anyway, I'm saying anyway, so being able to transcend issues of class, transcend those issues and build a kind of coalition. King had that ability, and so did Malcolm.
Right on. Right on. You know, and that's funny because in speaking on that, most people, you know, of course, Martin being from Atlanta, that's one thing. But when you look at his work, the most significant work that he did was outside of Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? His most you know, the things you hear most about, the Montgomery bus boycott, the letter from Birmingham. You know what I'm saying? Just all of this stuff. His major work was outside of Atlanta. You know what I mean? And I think to this day, Atlanta is one of those areas, Georgia itself, where it is hard to crack the shell. And that goes back to the race riots of the early 1900s. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So these crackers in Georgia, they keep these Negroes in check. And it's like, you know, oddly enough, it still draws the elements that need to be here. But at the same time, again, like you talked about earlier, you know, a cat like Kasim Reed, we're talking about, we've had a black mayor in Atlanta for over the past 4 decades. That's right. You know what I'm saying? So as the Ruber would say, the slaves run the plantation. and it is clear, like these black cops out here, man, listen, you know, you up north, I remember you would feel a little more at ease at one point if it was a black cop pulling you over. Sure. But now, shit, you know,
depending on where you are, no question.
Yeah. Give me the white boy so I can be clear, and I don't make a mistake and think that, you know, that we brothers or something. You know, I
can't imagine that, man. I can't imagine, because I've heard you and Kamal particularly talk about that right now in Atlanta.
Oh yeah. It's a cold joint. I know, as the preacher man would say, it's getting late in the evening or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But
we talking about similarities between Martin and Malcolm, and I think part of that is that confrontation with the question of class. Malcolm never had the baggage that Martin had.
That's right.
In the sense that Martin was part of that class. Right. And I think Atlanta is probably impenetrable in that way, because I mean, this goes back to Du Bois and Souls of Black Folk, you know, on the wings of Atlanta, when he's talking about, I mean, Atlanta is a bunch of, you know, it's a damn train depot. You know what I'm saying? Sherman come tear it up, and then they basically reconstruct it as the hub. And there's probably, I mean, I'm sure Dallas and Houston would argue, and New Orleans will argue, but in terms of the neo-colonial extension of enslavement and its afterlives, there's no more important city than Atlanta.
That's right.
But for that reason,
Right.
and of course, Georgia, shit, it was what was it, about 7 Georgia congressmen in Congress when the Trail of Tears legislation passed by 5 votes, and then they marched them Native Americans and freedmen across the belly of Georgia. I mean, so Georgia plays this particular role, of course, being the Australia in some ways of the 13 colonies, because it was a prison colony for the whites, as we know. But but Atlanta becomes, and I love the way Du Bois talks about it, Atlanta becomes the symbol of greed. I mean, it is really the symbol of greed. And so when you exchange out the white bourgeoisie for the black bourgeoisie, they're going to defend that with their natural life.
Wholeheartedly.
You know, it can't be broken. So King couldn't penetrate Atlanta. But what he does, though, is leverage that Atlanta prestige in a way. In fact, it's so interesting. There's a cat at Morehouse now, white dude. Oh man, I thought I had his book somewhere around here. Here it is. It just came out. It's called Prophet of Discontent: Martin Luther King and the Critique of Racial Capitalism. Andrew Douglas, he's at Morehouse, and this other brother, Jared Loggins, is a Morehouse grad. He's at Amherst College. But the thing about it, it opens with this, and you're gonna love this, Kalonji. This is shout out to Andrew Young.
Okay.
He says on March, this is the first chapter. He says, on March 27, 1968, a week before he was killed in Memphis, Martin Luther King Jr. joined Stanley Levison, Andrew Young, and several other confidants for an evening gathering at the New York City apartment of the singer and civil rights activist Harry Belafonte. Earlier that day, King had met with the poet Amiri Baraka in Newark, a city still reeling from the deadly riots of the previous summer. This is a week before he was killed.
Wow.
It was a city King feared that was poised to erupt all over again. At the time, King was working to organize the Poor People's Campaign. Goes on. And in New York that evening, he was in a surly mood. This is what the quote from Belafonte. He confided in Belafonte and others that Newark and his meeting with the militant Baraka had gotten to him. That suffocating conditions there and an increasing willingness among the city's youth to embrace violent resistance tactics were once again telling his long-haul strategy of non-violent change, testing it. King says this: I wholly embrace everything they feel. King said of the militant contingent in Newark, I have more in common with these young people than with anybody else in this movement. He says it's a week before he dies. He says, I feel their rage. I feel their pain. I feel their frustration. It's the system that's the problem, and it's choking the breath of our lives. Now watch this. Here comes Andrew Young. I don't know, Martin, Young said. It's not the entire system. It's only part of it. And I think we can fix that. King was having none of it. Quote, I don't need to hear from you, Andy. He clapped back. You're a capitalist. And I'm
Wow.
Andrew Young. So Andrew Young, Dr. King. No, let's go to videotape.
Yes.
Respect,
Warner Wolf.
A week before the man was passed, he said, I don't want to hear from you, Andy. You're a capitalist, and I am not.
It's funny. It's funny you mentioned Andy Young because of the fact that he is one of the people who endorsed Kasim Reed,
of course,
this last election. You know what I'm saying?
Kasim Reed ass was up here a couple of weeks ago. They was making it rain at some fundraiser. The president of Howard was there. All them Negroes making it rain. And guess where they got him? Retired. They all endorsed him.
That's crazy.
What's that about, Kalonji?
Hey man, listen, man. You know me. I'm just a ranting, raving lunatic. So you know what I'm saying.
It makes 2 of us, brother.
hey, brother. Let me tell you something, man. You know, we're gonna somehow end up drafting you. Tell Karen Hunter don't get mad at me. You know what I'm saying? Don't
worry. We set that up, man.
Hey, tell we gonna do a show called A Gentleman and a Gangster. So anyway,
hey, look, man. The thing I love about that, sister, is, you know, we live in a system where we have to build some institutions, and COVID didn't jailbreak everything. The university is done.
That's right.
You can't keep charging kids $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year.
That's crazy.
It's done. Now, at the same time, we have to invest in systems that we control. At least we know we don't control nothing online. They can pull the master switch, as Tim, you right.
That's right.
But that having been said, you know, this model that we're building out now, this narrative thing in Nubia, is really an attempt to create a space that can link with other spaces ultimately. So this is not,
that's awesome, man. I see the work, and
that's what we're doing with BPM. That's why it's one other reason. In fact, this is my young girl right here. She got the John Henry Clark. Shout out to my girl Afia Zakia, who is running for president of the African Heritage Studies Association. She's in Mississippi, and they did a volume on Dr. Clark's work. And in fact, well, that's another footnote, but this young girl got a copy of the book, and then she held the book up to her face, man. So that's my Nubia joint. I tell her all the time, I'm wearing your joint because the next generation is coming.
That's a beautiful thing. Yes. Yes.
Oh,
we're gonna win.
No, we definitely gonna win. I need to ask you, man. Do you know Anna Swanson? Is she still in? Mama Anna is. I think she's in Atlanta now. She was John Henry Clark's secretary.
You know what? I know exactly who you're talking about. I thought she was going by another name. I could be wrong.
But she probably should have an African name too.
Okay. Yeah. I know exactly who you're talking about. I haven't seen her in some years. Yeah. Short with glasses.
Yes. Yeah. But if you ever call when you call John Henry Clark house, if you call in the daytime, she might answer the phone. At night, he gonna answer the phone.
That's right.
Because they would post him up in the man, and that's the dude I missed, man.
Shout out to Dr. Clark, Dr. Ben. Like we was talking about earlier, the whole First World Alliance. You know what I mean? Sister Kefra, Brother Bill. You know, I mean, and that's Turner,
man. All them cats, man.
Yeah. And this is the effort that we're making with BPM, because the one thing that was beautiful about Harlem back in the day with First World Alliance, you can go to this church every Saturday and you'll see Theophila Benga. You might see Donna Richardson, who's now known as Mama Marimba Ani.
Yes, indeed.
You might see Dale Jones. You might see
the war correspondent. Oh man, you digging in the face, boy.
Yes. And you know, I feel bad because of the fact that I was supposed to interview Dale 3 weeks before he transitioned. He told me he was sick. So he said, call me back on Monday. And I never called him back, and he ended up transitioning from there.
But it was so sudden, man.
Yeah.
I'm ashamed to say I lost track of Deke, man. I live about 4 blocks from 52nd right there. That's back when Umar Johnson was walking them down 52nd Street in them T-skirts selling cassettes. But that's a story for another day. But
we bringing you back for it. Don't trip.
Oh yeah, now we had to have that conversation. Wow, but no, man. So First World, to your point, man, First World was
Madison Square Garden.
Brother, I lived in Columbus, Ohio. After my second year of law school, I clerked for the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, 99 Hudson Street. And my man Tony Brown, who was getting his master's at UCLA in Black Studies. That's why
Tony Brown Journal.
Another Tony Brown. Actually, his people from the Caribbean, he's from Brooklyn.
Okay.
Tony is now at Hunter College. He's actually in the department Dr. Clark was in. Tony took me to First World for the first time because we used to, man, look, if anybody was in New York, I forget who the sister was or the brother who ran the tapes in the vat.
I can't.
You know,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
To send off of them tapes, man.
He was getting all my money when I was coming.
All of it. Look, we would mail money to them, man. To First World.
Because they would send you. There wasn't no email. They would send you in the mail. You'll get a list of who's going to be speaking for the next couple months.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying? And you get to choose. I remember the most unknown person at that time to me was Booker T. Coleman, who is now known as
Hiawatha Kazembe.
Yes. So that was the first time. Coleman, yeah, that was the first time I ever saw him. I'm like, I don't know who this is, but I know, you know what I mean? But yeah.
And everybody, man, Charles Finch, Jacob Carruthers would come. I mean, you cats, man. What's my man?
Francis Cress Wilson.
Cress. It was Scobie, man. Scobie.
Yeah. Oh man, Scobie. Woo.
What was Dr. Ben's running partner? This would have been Simmons, George Simmons.
Yes. Barashango. You know what I'm saying?
Musa Barashango, Philadelphia. Yes, sir.
These are all folks who, you know, to these the new kids on the block, you know, those names don't even, you know, the fact that some of these names that are mentioned right now are not mentioned. And some of the names that folks do know, I mean, it's a travesty. And not only that, I see there are certain folks, and I'm not going to call their names just yet. I'm going to wait till I get a little bit older, and I'm going to start pointing out the scholarship and lectures that they stole from these folks, because I still got tapes of some of these lectures that they memorized verbatim. You know what I'm saying?
Verbatim.
And I'm like, wow, like, why does that sound familiar? You know, shout out to the Dr. Bobby E. Wrights and all those good people.
Oh, Bobby Wright, man.
Put that work in. Yes.
That's the people in Chicago, man. You know, it's funny, Kalonji. I know we like to say we wind to a close, but the challenge we have now, like when Dr. King was coming up, because of, you know, American apartheid,
Yes.
those scholars, the street scholars were there. You know, the F.W. Hammurabis in Chicago, Charles Seifert in New York, and cats around Dr. Clark, Willis Huggins, who had professional training, but I mean, now we're going back to the 30s, obviously.
Yes.
But the model for academic work, there still was class, but it was trapped within the apartheid system. In that period, we were fortunate enough to kind of come of age in the lines were still blurred.
Right.
So yeah, you had Wade Nobles and James Carruthers and them. You had Marimba Ani, or you know, Donna Richards, as you say, Donna Moses. You know, Bob Moses, former right, Richards, and then I'll never forget standing there on the corner one evening. We had driven up from Philly, and I watched Mama Marimba make the cat that was selling tapes on the corner take all her stuff off the table, because you know how they would the recorder, and then not, you know, she don't play. You know, she was on my dissertation committee, man. In fact,
to this day, she don't play.
No, she don't play, man. My dissertation committee was Obenga, Marimba Ani, Jacob Carruthers.
Wait. You said Obenga.
Yeah, he was my major.
Marimba, and who?
Marimba, Jacob Carruthers, because you know I'm real close with Baba Jetty.
I need you to do one thing before you even go all the way in there. I need you to tell the people who Theophilo Benga is, because the fact that, again, I hear people quoting Sheikh Anta Diop, but they don't know some of the brains and the minds behind that.
No,
so
absolutely.
Please do me that service real quick.
Yeah, I mean, in 30 seconds, in many ways, Sheikh Anta Diop, the pharaoh, whose only trip to the United States, of course, was in Atlanta. When he came there in '84, Morehouse College hosted him. You know, Dean Carter and them know them stories back at Charles Finch, you know. But he is Theophilo Benga still alive in Congo in his late 80s, mid 80s. He was and is Sheikh Anta Diop's junior protege. That's right. He's from Congo, went to school in France like Sheikh Anta Diop, studied Medu Neter and other areas as well. And in 1974, of course, the legendary confrontation between Diop and Obenga and all the Egyptologists in Cairo, Egypt, the United Nations convening about the race of the ancient Egyptians. In that room, Obenga was the linguist. Even though Sheikh Anta Diop had mastered the Medu Neter, it was really the one with the gift of languages was Theophilo Obenga. He is the most gifted language student, man. I remember, I was Obenga's assistant. I was his teaching assistant. Mario Beatty, my brother, Mario Beatty, was like his intellectual, like he and Mario would go and copy whole books out of the University of Pennsylvania library. And then when Obenga went back to Congo, I had to ship all that stuff out to him. I mean, like all these, but my job was to teach Obenga's undergraduate classes while they were over there doing that. And then I would go to Obenga's office, and I come in the office, little office at Temple. He have his back to the door. He just sitting there humming. You look over his shoulder. He wouldn't write on lined notebook paper. He would take a ream of copy paper and just rip it open. And so he would have, and what is he doing? This cat's teaching himself Hebrew, man.
Wow.
I mean, for fun, he would learn other languages. You know what I'm saying?
I met him one time officially. I was hosting again Black August. He spoke at one of the Black Augusts out in Oakland.
On the Bay Area, yeah.
And I was just like, wow, man, this is and it was crazy because of the fact that a lot of folks, and that's why I said, give a little cursory glance for him. You know what I'm saying? A lot of folks just didn't know who he was. And just like so many of the people that you're talking about, the Dr. Jacob Carruthers over at Inner City Studies. And,
yes.
You know what I'm saying? Just so many intellectual warfare, one of the most dynamic pieces when you're talking about reading, him and Dr. Amos Wilson and all these folks. These are people whose names, like you said, we're not hearing about. And these, if you're talking about studying, you thinking if you're not hitting up some of these folks right here, man.
That's right.
So yes. Anyway, man, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you didn't cut. No. This is a very
having a flashback.
Kalonji, we haven't. It's so funny, man, because I remember, and Jared tells these stories too when he was delivering food in Baltimore, and he get the tapes, man, from our man's up in Baltimore, Everyone's Place up there on North Avenue, Baba Nati. I saw Nati stand Cope a couple weeks ago. In fact,
wow,
the Trini, man, the homie, man, Nati is the man. You know what I'm saying? So, but for us, that stuff was gold, man, because it was scarcity. But just about everybody you've named, certainly not everything they ever did that was recorded, but enough of what each of those people that you just named that we're talking about did that was recorded is now available on the internet. It's like there's an ocean, but there's no map.
That's right. That's
So
right.
now people don't even realize the things we used to, man, if you got an Amos Wilson tape, I'm talking about, we was in Columbus, you understand? Not Georgia, Ohio. So when y'all was in New York, and even in New York, man, the thing.
You were Ohio State or what?
Yeah, Ohio State. Yeah,
Okay,
well, I went to undergrad at Tennessee State. I was in Nashville.
Okay. I stayed out there briefly around the corner from that Wendy's museum. I can't even think of the name of the street over there.
Yes, sir. See, that's what I'm saying. People think the world
all I gotta do is say that. You know what I'm talking about.
You know, question. The world is tiny. People think the world is large. The black world is like one room, really.
That's right. That's right.
But I think there's some kind of trade-off, and I don't know how to do it. You really kind of put your finger on it a minute ago. When you have so much available, it almost becomes difficult to discipline yourself to try to figure out how to go about doing that kind of work. And so when I look at, and you know, these cats that are all over YouTube and streaming and Facebook Live, or whatever the platforms, it's hard for me to get mad at them in the sense that, you know, they see the outcome. They see that they you know, pantomime and model the rhetoric, but study, man. John Clark, just like you said, you wouldn't want to, like, brother, man. John, I remember when Sharcy McIntyre and them, they was raising money to get the reading machine.
For name I hadn't heard in a while.
Sharcy McIntyre. Look, people talking about the new Jim Crow. Go get Sharcy McIntyre's criminalizing a race. No shade on Michelle Alexander, but let's be clear, this work has been done before.
Let's keep it solid.
Just keep it solid, man. Or Sidney Wilhelm, who needs the Negro. I mean, we can go back. But I raise that to say that, you know, like you said, somebody tell you, okay, your assignment is to read the announcements or to introduce a speaker. You mortified. Right. We all felt that way about asking these elders questions. So with John Clark, man, who I knew for about the last 10 years of his life, because we would watch Clark tapes, and then I got to New York, got to sit there at First World on the floor, because as you know, it was always standing room only. So I just went and sat right on the floor in front of the little table where he would sit, right? Right. I wouldn't even ask John Henry Clark a question until I had read just about everything I could find that he had written, listened to. So then when I asked him a question, I asked him about Hubert Henry Harrison. Mm-hmm. This would have been around, I don't know, maybe 1989, 90. I'm asking him about Harrison. And he asked me, what makes you ask that? And I said, well, I read When Africa Awakes, and I read The Negro and the Nation, because you couldn't get them anywhere. You know, you a bookseller. Right. You know who the cat who had them. You remember E. Curtis Alexander? Curtis Alexander was out of Virginia. He used to photocopy the book, and they were
okay.
Yeah, you remember Axioms and Quotations of Yosef Ben Yakin. You remember that little book?
Wow.
And Dr. Ben, anyway, that's a story for another. I can't tell that. I don't care. We just holding up. But anyway, you know, his son Kwame is now huge in YA. Young adult literature, Kwame Alexander. So at any rate, Clark, based on the question you asked some elders, they would know you were serious.
That's right.
And at that point, you could apprentice with them. But if you just ask them, so tell me, what should I read first?
Man, listen, like you just said, you know what I'm saying? It's certain institutions and certain individuals. When you say certain names, you can gauge where a person's at.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Because the majority of what we're talking about right now, these names right here are names that, you know, these are the people that, unfortunately, so many of them are ancestors. But these are the folks that I would have brought on a Riot Starter TV because of the fact that, you know, it's important. Right now, you have it's a few of them left, the Dr. Smalls and the Dr. Jeffries and the students of John Henry Clark and Dr. Ben and all of those folks.
Well, Kalonji, you brought on one the other day when you mentioned T.O. was more, man.
Right on. Yesterday, matter of fact, he shouted you out. Right on.
T.O. Last time we saw him, man, me and Mario, we were in Kemet. We had the student. He was we was in Kemet.
He was leaving. He was coming.
That's right. More, man. More is the inheritor of that whole discussion, man.
Without a
All them
doubt.
Black Dot, Richard King, all them boys,
Yes.
man. Sekmet
Yes.
Newton, Tion's more.
Carol Barnes, right?
Oh, come on, man. Melanin,
Yeah.
the chemical
Yeah.
key to Black greatness. Hey, y'all, look, we got to some of y'all know
we had to come back on here, man.
Yeah, replay this, man.
Hey, we now went everywhere, and that's
yo, man.
But you know what though, Dr. Carr,
No, Greg, man,
it's
come
funny.
on, man.
It's funny because you know, I've been glancing at the chat every now and then, and I think that you know, we're not supposed to be talking in the eyes. This is that separation that we talked about earlier.
Exactly.
You understand what I'm saying? Because
the one that we don't give a damn about.
Exactly. We're two extremes of the same candle. And I think that you know, this is what brings on revolution. We have to burn the candle at all ends. You know what I'm saying? It's not either, yeah, it can't be. And I said all ends. I ain't talking about both
fire.
Set that motherfucker on fire. And that's what has to take place if we're gonna be serious about what it is. It's like right now, we get so caught up in the cult of personality. We get so caught up in you know, who like who and all that type shit. I don't like most of the people I work with. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure they don't like me, but that's okay. I know the difference between a comrade and a friend.
Right, exactly. I said, who likes themselves all the time?
Listen, I don't even like me at the time.
No question. That's what I'm saying, me either. I'm saying, well,
Yes.
what you talking about? Hey, look, stop watching wrestling and playing video games. This is not about people. Martin and Malcolm. That's what James Cone said. Y'all got these cats like they rock'em sock'em robots. They were not enemies.
Not at all.
And it's certainly after Malcolm left the nation. You can look at Malcolm in 63, critiquing the March on Washington. He leads the nation, and by 64, what you really get a sense of is you'd have been talking to this cat the whole time.
Right. But you know the other thing about that, when you talk about Malcolm, for all practical purposes, in regards to consciousness or being on the right side of history, shall I say?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, what was it, like 12 years? You know what I'm saying? I mean, coming into this thing and the work that he did in that time period. Again, we're talking about two men who were 39 years old when they was assassinated. And I think that there's a lot of criticism around King, but I respect the fact that although he made mistakes and he was in error a lot, his intentions were pure. And I think that once he got with, I remember listening to Kwame Ture talking about, he called Dr. King one day. He said, "Hey, you remember such and such?" He said, "Yeah, how you doing?" He said, "Yeah, man, he got killed over in Vietnam." You know what I'm saying? And he said and I'm paraphrasing, but he said it shook King, and King called him back, called him and said, "Look here, Kwame, I'm gonna be or Stokely, I'm gonna be preaching on Sunday. I want you to come by the church." He said, "Oh, King," he said, "No, I want you to come through." And he said that's when he came with the why I opposed the war in Vietnam.
That's right.
And that's what took him to a whole nother angle and a whole nother level, because of the fact that as Malcolm talked about, we talk about being nonviolent in America when they're sending us to be violent in Vietnam, and these Vietnamese people didn't do jack shit to us. You know what I'm saying? But here in America, they want you to turn the other cheek. That's so right. It was those moments in time, and
Jesse and start say Stokely and Kwame were basically age mates. And they both born in 40. I think Kwame was 41, Jesse 42, right, or around that same time, 1941, 42. And King had those young lieutenants. And I'm not as hard on Jesse Jackson as a lot of people. I remember in 19, we were at Tennessee State in our own protest. Jesse came to town. Everybody know Jesse gonna play to the camera.
Oh yeah,
everybody know all that stuff. I mean, if you go get Barbara Reynolds' book, the first edition, Jesse Jackson, America's David, then they made her rewrite it because she had stuff about Roberta Flack and all in there. Nobody wanted, if you're gonna look in everybody's bedroom, Answer Thomas used to call that bedroom history. He said, "I'm not interested in bedroom history." You know what I'm saying? Right. But Jesse King had these young cats, and of course, Baba Mukasa obviously lived this.
Yes.
And you see, even in the meetings where King would say, "Jesse, you come sit next to me."
Right.
But after King is gone, it's nobody in that room can hold order on Jesse. Can't nobody look. Anybody who has spent any time around Jesse Jackson, you can say what you want about his personality. Right. That motherfucker, man,
he can rap
without notes. I'm saying Jesse will bring all statistics, bring that shit together, put that heavy country accent on that shit, and have you saying, "Where the fuck do I go?" I seen Jesse, man. I mean, anyway, I had to come back. But I'm raising that to say this, of course. And of course, you know, Baba Kwame said to the day he passed. I remember Conrad World and went over to Guinea for the funeral. Said, you know, CIA gave me cancer, and they're the same age, but those age mates come of age at a moment when the state launches a full-scale assassination state violence. We're gonna end these Negroes. The fact that we even having this conversation is a testament to the strength of the race, because they tried to wipe us the fuck out.
And that is what I'm talking about right there. Because I know people are like, well, what do you mean? You know what I'm saying? Because of the fact that this is, you know, because for all practical purposes, you know, I'm a rebel rouser, so they say. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
He's uncouth. He's, you know, he's wild. I'm calculated. I'm clear about what the fuck I'm doing.
Exactly.
You not clear what I'm doing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's cool.
That is the art of war. I don't need you. Believe what you want. Feel how you feel. I'm gonna get the job done. And you know, the thing is, I love when folks underestimate me.
No question.
You know what I'm saying? It is a beautiful thing. You know, it's like, you know, like I didn't know you had a mind. Like, the fuck out of here. You think I'm just walking around talking about black power with a gun in my hand? You know what I'm saying? It's like we're talking about system building. We're talking about tumbling the current order. You know what I'm saying? And until we understand that, until we clear about what our roles are, because like you said, you know, we have to find the best parts. We gotta have points of unity. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If as long as you ain't working for the state, we can, you know, we can come to some kind of terms.
No question.
Like my man said, the differences between the people and the people are reconcilable, and the difference between the people and the state are irreconcilable.
Irreconcilable.
You know what I'm saying?
And depending on the relationship, it's so funny because everybody don't come clean all the time.
That's right.
Because we both know a lot of people be talking that shit, and you look up and like, if you follow them for 24 hours, you be like, why didn't you just tell us?
Yeah.
Now I'm suspicious now.
Yeah.
I mean, shit.
Yeah. I'm telling you out the gate, my contradictions got contradictions. But
all of us. But I'm
understand.
saying you should tell people. I mean, and of course it's different. I mean, Joanne Robinson and them, they work for Alabama State.
That's right.
They found out about the Montgomery bus boycott because they used the mimeograph machine.
That's right.
And I'm saying now, I'm not saying everybody, the spook was set by the door is fiction. God bless Sam Greenlee. I say, you know, but at the same time, you know what I'm saying? But when they bring you in, Anderson Thompson used to always say this to me, he said, you know what? If you keep being successful at helping to organize and get people together, at some point they bring you into the room.
That's right.
And it's like that room they bring you into in Kemet, or any of y'all ever been someplace where they're gonna sell you some shit. And they bring you in the room, the lights are off. Then all of a sudden they turn the lights on, some sparkly stuff. They blow some shit in your face, some cologne coming, and you leave that room having left all your money with some trinkets.
That's right. You weren't planning on buying shit.
We weren't gonna buy shit, right? And then they came, what the fuck? But Anderson Thompson said the trick is not to be immune to all that. The trick is to know before you go in that that's what's going to happen, and that might keep you out of the abyss. But make no mistake about it, we all know people who have the best intentions, but individuals don't beat institutions, man.
That's right.
They will fuck you up. And I say, and talk about, I'm in. Look, and I know we gotta go, but I'm saying I am at a university. I'm at a HBCU. That's a contradiction. But I made a deliberate choice to be at a black one rather than a white one. And even in the black one, there are more contradictions. You got Negroes fighting over rank, fighting over tenure, fighting over credit for something they wrote that somebody 100 years ago wrote better than them, but they trusted nobody would go in the archives so they can parlay this. And I look at, I'm the first in my family to go to college. If the shit burned down tomorrow, we'll find something else to do. It amazes me that the most revolutionary sounding academics are the Negroes who enjoy and want the prestige more than anybody.
Man, listen, let me tell you something, man. You know, and I respect you because of the fact that, like I was talking to Cindy McKinney a couple of days ago, and one of the things I told her, I said, listen, man, you know, I know a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? And folks always, well, why don't you let's get such and such on? I'm like, man, dude ain't gonna come on here because of the fact that they're more concerned with their careers.
No
You could
question.
pop that shit with certain individuals.
No
You
question.
can go on certain people's shows and you get away with that.
No question.
But if you love your career, I ain't the motherfucker you just wanna hang out with.
Hell
Because,
no.
like my man said, you know, when you take me to the dog show, you put on the bow tie and manicure my nails. When I lock down on your ass and shit, man, I'm still a pit bull.
Gotta put you to sleep. No question.
So be clear about what you're dealing with. But listen, you know, we'll do this for 3 hours.
Yeah,
but,
you should start. Yes, it's at 11. But I guess we should say one more thing about Martin and Malcolm. And
yes, sir. Yes, sir. And listen, before you you even say that, now we're gonna have you back on here within the next 30 days.
Oh no, yeah.
Okay.
We in contact now, man. The reason I mean it snuck up on me, you know this, man, and we see it with BPM. We see all the work you're doing. Once the virus hit and we all went this way 100% of the time, the work expanded exponentially.
That's right.
We should have been able to predict it, but we didn't.
Right.
And so people are working harder now in many ways than we were before. Like I watched when you all met up down in Atlanta. I guess it's been about 7-8 months ago. It was last year, last summer.
A few months ago. Yeah.
A few months ago. It wasn't 7-8 months ago.
Yeah.
That summer, right? Yeah. And since then, just watching, listening, learning, and I try to watch regularly. I mean, I have morning classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then Mondays and Wednesdays I'm usually tied up in the mornings as well. So, but I know Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. No, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Is that the 3 days that y'all do?
Yeah. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then I miss what I like.
We're gonna be expanding. So right on.
Oh, no question. But even if I miss it live, I will try to come back around.
Appreciate that, brother.
Oh no, listen, I appreciate you, man, and I'm one among many. But I'm just saying, and it's growing, of course. But the thing that you realize is, we were working 7 days a week before, but now we working like 7 days a week, 20 hours a day. You know what I'm saying? So I don't believe in the language of self-care and all this, but what I do believe in, of course, is the thing that kept Martin alive. What Kwame Ture used to always say, you know, if you take care of the people, if you work for the people will take care of you, the people will work for you. And so we know what keeps us able to do this is the same spirit of, it isn't really sacrifice, but it's the same spirit of love for our people that Martin Luther King definitely had, that he saw modeled in people like Howard Thurman and Benjamin Mays, people like Nanny Helen Burroughs, as I mentioned, and then Malcolm, that love for the people, sometimes at great cost, but that love, and that's what made John Henry Clark. Man, John Henry Clark loved Malcolm X. I mean, he wrote about him, he talked about him, but I mean, sit and listen to Dr. Clark talk about Malcolm. There was a love there that comes from sharing, and I can't imagine what somebody like Coach Yama, Mama Coach Yama would. I don't even know what that. I mean, you know, that love is what gives us the energy to keep going, man. So I just want to thank you for letting me, you know, come in and hang out with you. We're gonna definitely do this again soon in the next couple of weeks.
Definitely, brother. I appreciate you. And according to the chat, they appreciate you. They he need a spot over here, so on and so forth. You got him hot tonight. You know what I'm saying?
Oh no, I'm here, man. I mean, look, what good is it? The only regret I have now is we do so much now on this and having conversations and talking, and it cuts into the reading time. So now when I get off here, I'm gonna sit and read till I can't see no more.
Hey, that's right on. Hey, for the folks that's checking you out, for those who's if it's their first time checking you out, what's the channel that they need to see you all on the regular in class with Carr?
The in class thing we do, and again, it's just kind of it started as we all start trying to see what would generate. And my thing is, you know, let's just spread information. Let's have conversations. So every Saturday from noon until usually noon to 2:30, we're on YouTube. And on Karen Hunter, the channel that she had already had. So you can just Google or look on Twitter. You know, we got a hashtag tag in class with Carr. Narrative is, you know, I think our idea was rather than go Patreon or go some of these platforms that Europeans control, let's build something completely new so that once it's established, we can start having people come over. And then when they say, look, y'all done cussed, so we can't have, we be like, fuck y'all, we got it going over here. We control. I mean, so it's pretty obvious, right? So it's like, well, if y'all would support us, come to Patreon. And of course, as we know, YouTube is a thief in terms of revenue. I mean,
Yeah,
so
right.
so we figure at least build something slowly. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying, you know, if folks, you know, have a cup. No. I'm gonna pause there and say this. I'll end with this. So if y'all want to check out In Class with Carr on weekends, please do support Black Power Media.
Hey, brother,
Let's do that. Let's just do that. Right.
And I say the same. I say the same thing in reverse. Again, give a greetings to Can Hunter. I haven't met her yet, but
oh, you will. Look, this is like the Avengers. First they had Iron Man, then they had Captain America, and then when they dropped the Avengers, everybody knew all the people in the
right on,
yeah,
right on.
We already know what it is, brother. We just
right on. Let's go. No, hey, brother, definitely appreciate you. You know, enjoy that reading tonight.
Oh, no, you know, no doubt.
And you know, like I said, we will wrap with you as elder brother and OG and ancestors would say, look for us in the whirlwind. You know what I mean? So stay on point. Love you. And
love you too, brother.
Revolutionary love. Stay on point.
No doubt. No doubt. See you soon, Bob.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Brothers and sisters, you've been checking out Riot Starter TV. Live, our brother Dr. Greg Carr. We said we was gonna do an hour. We put in 2 and some change. How about that? You know what I'm saying? And we would have went a little bit further, but we know that you all got to get up and watch the Remix Morning Show in the morning, so we didn't want to pressure you too much. But make sure you tap in, share this video, please, because of the fact that I think that it was a beautiful opportunity to learn because of the fact that there's so many different freedom fighters and educators out there who have been putting in work that we need to acknowledge. You know what I'm saying? And make sure you support our Patreon, which is at blackpowermedia.org. Again, if it's your first time tuning in, check out the archives, check out Black Power Media, subscribe and all that good stuff. And I see you all first thing in the morning, 8 a.m. right here on Black Power Media Remix Morning Show. We appreciate y'all. Revolutionary love and salute. We out.